Oh yeah, we live. Oh yeah, we live on. Gotta do the thing. Gotta do the thing. Yeah, gotta do the thing. Hold on, mine ain't playing yet. Let's get to it.
I'ma try
Right.
something different on this.
Yeah.
I'ma let this CD ride out, and I ain't gonna say too
Bring your
much.
asses in here, man.
Gun Cannon Currency, Smokey
Welcome,
Robinson.
welcome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now out, watch this.
Nigga.
Come on.
I'm making moves, word to Asher, spliff crews, recording my album in NASA. Flew to the moon cause they said it was made of cheese. Be it the strain or the bank, it's all good for me. In the midst of the murders, strip club parking lot chalked out cause drunk niggas refuse to talk it out. Stomping out lit weed clips, finger stingers. On the wanted list of actresses and lady singers. It's the king of this rhythmic, linguistic, killer shit. Rolling that weed, parental advisory, sticker shit. Nigga fuck censorship. That crowd cool, but I just couldn't get into it. I'm too big, homeboy, simply couldn't fit. I concentrated on myself and I struck it rich. Was offered multiple incentives, but I couldn't switch. But I did get switches on that S10 Blazer. Like Mr. Oscar, my boss partner, slash next door neighbor. Might run for mayor, feeling so player. Word to Peg Deal, smoke work with Peg Deal. At the Source magazine photo shoot with my homeboy Wiz. On some live nigga shit, G'd up, chopped it up, ain't pop no ciphers, just chill. Yeah. Ain't nothing going on with the Berlin rap song. Ain't nothing going on with the Berlin rap
Bring your
song.
asses in here, man.
Yeah, ain't nothing going on with the Berlin
Let's
rap
fucking
song.
go.
Yeah,
Come on in.
going on with the Berlin rap song.
Listen.
Yeah, ain't nothing going on with the Byman's rap song. Hitting all night long. Fool, ain't nothing going on but the Byman's rap song.
Say it
Nigga,
again.
ain't nothing going on but the Byman's rap song. Hitting all night long. Fool, ain't nothing going on but the Byman's rap song.
Yeah. Man, listen. Welcome to another episode of the Hotep History Live with your host, with the most, President Hotep Dubes, representing Hotep Nation. How are you? We made it. Another week, ladies and gentlemen. We made it. How are we feeling? Did we do it? Did we reach the goals? Did we hit the objectives? Did we complete the mission? Did we? You already know we checking in every time. Before we get into anything, we are checking in with the people to make sure that they actually were able to get their business handled. Did you handle business this week? Did you kick ass and take names? Did you do exactly what you said you were going to do? Were you a man and a woman of your word? Did you do it? Did you do it? I hope you did. If you fucking with me, I know you did. Okay? Listen, we on Twitter now. As you can see, the pink circle is around my Abby. Finally, we are finally streaming on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. I know a lot of people call it X. I'm from Twitter, B. Like, I'm going to always call it Twitter. So we are now officially streaming from Twitter. Shout out to all of the followers on Twitter, all 4,004 you guys. Okay, I appreciate you guys tapping in. Hope you guys are excited for tonight's stream, or at least as excited as I am. It'd be even doper if you were more excited. That'd be fire. That'd be fire. Beat me to the damn excitement. You feel me? My day was amazing. I'm not gonna hold you. First of all, I stayed up late last night to figure out how to go live on Twitter. Like I was not going to sleep until I figured it out. I knew I had the tools. I knew I had the resources. I knew I had the know-how to make it happen. And look, I'm on the timeline. Look at me. You see me? Look at that. Look at your boy. Right there. Amongst good people, too. So, very happy about that. Extremely happy about that. You already know how we do. We wake up. We thank God. We pray for allowing us to wake up with air in our lungs, breathing another day on earth, and then we get right to the physical activity. Go right to the workout. Good workout. I do have to pay more attention with the things that I'm eating. That's gonna be the thing. That's gonna be the thing. Got to work on the diet. Okay. My man told me that, bodies are made in the gym, but they're no, excuse me, bodies. What did he say? This is how you know I need to be paying attention. But basically, bodies are made in the kitchen. They're sculpted in the gym. So that's very true. That's very true. So diet is going to be my new mission, making sure that I'm getting all of the right nutrients, right minerals, vitamins, all of that good stuff to make sure that I'm feeding not only my body but my mind and my soul. It's very important. Okay, so had a good workout, bust a good sweat, and then I started researching for today's show. I went on my man Rashad. My man Rashad already in the chat. What's going on, my boy? My boy Rashad. Hopped in his space, had to give him that good old Hotep 1-2. Had to tell him what the fuck is what and what it's not. Had to let him know that black Americans can do any and everything that we put our minds to. And there's nothing and no one out there that can stop us. That's a fact. And I stand on that. The ancestors told me that directly. And we're gonna hear from the ancestors tonight. We got some nice primary primary sources that we're gonna sift through. Booker T. Washington is on the docket, so you already know. Okay, Big Book is on the docket tonight, so absolutely. But yeah, so I had to, I hopped in Rashad's space. They were talking about, so I just hopped in, popping my shit. I don't even know what the topic was, but shout out to my boy Rashad and the Things of That Nature platform and all of that. And, shout out to being able to, that'll be the encouragement for today's stream. Harlem shaking through controversy. Ladies and gentlemen, on your journey to success, on your successful journey to success, you are going to be embroiled in controversy at some point in your journey. Okay? There's no escaping it. There's no sidestepping it. No matter how good intended you are, how good faith you are going to be embroiled in some type of controversy. It's unavoidable. The best thing that you can do, though, is to be able to navigate this to where your integrity, your character, your moral fibers are still going to shine through no matter what the controversy brings. This is the reason why I go so hard about the ancestral black American ethos, because nothing that came the ancestors' way was something that they couldn't handle and didn't handle with the same moral integrity that they would operate in good times. Family reunions, church services, barbecues, birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, all of that stuff. But when it came down to turmoil, tumultuous interactions with people, treacherous people, people who are out to harm you or do you bad in some type of way, they handled it the same way. Okay? They stood with their shoulders back, head high, back straight, looked it dead in the eye and stood on business. That's the reason why you even here. The only reason why you are living today is because your ancestors stood on business. They didn't lie down and die. They lived. They not only were alive, but they lived. So you are going to come across people, like just groups, individuals, however it go, who are going to want to see you fail, who would love nothing more than to see your downfall. Not only that, you're going to have people who come into your life who claim they mean well and still end up doing you bad. As a matter of fact, you can't even be betrayed by somebody you don't know or trust or love. All of these things come along with the territory on the road to greatness. There is nothing that you can avoid, nothing that you can do to avoid it. Period. So you need to equip yourself with your morals, your values, your core beliefs. Arm yourself. Create an arsenal around your virtues. Create an arsenal around the things that you believe. Stand on the things that you believe, no matter who is in the room, no matter who is talking. Never fold on who you are. Okay? It's not about what you are. It's about who you are. Who are you? What do you actually stand for? What do you actually believe in? And if those beliefs can be tortured out of you in the most extreme cases, then you got to reevaluate, let alone an argument, let alone a more popular motherfucker coming in the room, a louder motherfucker coming in the room. And now you want to shrink yourself. Now you want to be unsure about yourself. Now you want to second guess yourself, knowing you know what you know is right. So, for all of the people that may be going through some controversy right now, for all of the people that may be going through some tough times right now from the external, you have to double down on your internal. Double down on who you are. Remind not only the world, but most importantly, yourself of who you are. Daily, remind yourself who you are. Speak about yourself as if you know who you are. Be proud of who you are. That's what it's all about over here. It's all about self-development. It's all about improvement. It's all about getting to it. And you can't afford to act like you're surprised that somebody came to come fuck up your shit. You can't afford your ignorance. You know, that ain't that what the cops say? Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Or breaking the law, that's a fact. That goes double, triple, quadruple for yourself. Ignorance of yourself is no excuse for you losing yourself. That's why, on some Hotep shit, knowledge of self is the most important knowledge you could ever have. It's the reason why, despite our ancestors' lack of ability to read or write, they were still able to build businesses. They were still able to build families. They were still able to build community. They were still able to make it so that they were in this position to read or learn how to write, because they knew who they were. So today's encouragement is Harlem Shake through the controversy by knowing yourself. Harlem shaking through the controversy by knowledge of self. All right. So I hope that resonated with somebody. I hope y'all are having a good time. It's going to be a good night. It's going to be a good night. Tonight, we are talking about historical Black American family values, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the things that your great-grands were raised on, the things that your granny was raised on, the things that your parents, hopefully you, were raised on. These traditions, these values that have been passed down for generation to generation. Now, as a millennial, I can understand how we've gone off the beaten path as far as what the ancestors left for us, and how there were external groups, mainly the federal government, who stepped in to do everything they could to splinter the Black American family. But given what I just said, you already know what I'm going to stand on. You got to withstand. You got to be able to, keep pushing through and making sure those values still live on to this day. And I'm happy to say that they do. Plenty of Black American families still uphold the values that were instilled in their last name 100 years ago, 150 years ago. There are people walking around right now extremely proud of their great-great-grandparents, extremely proud and making them proud. Not only are they proud of their ancestors, but due to what they do and say, they're making their ancestors proud. So that still lives on to this very day. Hotep history wouldn't even exist if that wasn't true. If I personally didn't care about the values of the ancestors, then this wouldn't even be here. So we know that it still lives on today. However, a lot of people, have gotten, away from it. And that's the reason why this episode to me was extremely important. Because there are a lot of Black Americans who just don't remember. Not that they don't know, but they just simply don't remember. So tonight is just a reminder of the family values that Black Americans, came up on. The things that allowed us to get to this point, to this very day. If the ancestors didn't have these values, we wouldn't exist. And I want y'all to really, really take that to heart. Like, you have to understand, in order for you to be living and breathing right now, 15 different generations of people at the very least had to come together, okay, and create and create and create and create, to the point that in the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, whenever you were born, you were able to get here. So your mother's 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 mother and your father's father's father, okay, while not having you specifically in mind, while they were living, them living allowed you to live. Understand that. And understand that there are going to be people 15 generations after you who wouldn't be alive without you. And then by extension, without them. All of this is interconnected through history. That's why I tell y'all all of the time, everything is history. Everything. The studying of anything is the study of history. The only way to study something is to be able to understand the origin of it, why it is what it is, why this, the terminology, the meanings, the glossary that's in the back of the textbook. All of that is things that came before you. That's why I was able to be published. That's why I was able to be documented. It came before you. The studying of everything or anything is the studying of history, just by virtue of of time and timelines. That's just how this goes. So always keep that in mind. Keep the ancestors in mind when you're doing your thing. So I do have video tonight. I'm not going to hit you guys with a bunch of books. The videos, I only got like a couple of them. You know what I'm saying? So don't get too excited. We getting into the books. We read over here. Okay? We read over here. So what we got? Let's get to the good old bookmarks. And that's one of the things that I do like about having a blue check. Obviously, the potentiality to make bread. But you can have folders now when it comes down to bookmarks, which I think is dope. And then of course you get to stream live on this motherfucker now. So yeah, we're going to get through all of this. So, of course, we got to start with the foundation of tonight's stream / lesson / lecture / whatever you call it tonight. And it is, of course, you guessed it, the ancestral Black American ethos. I tell you guys all of the time that it's becoming a cliche, and I want it to become a cliche because that means you guys are like understanding this. I want you guys to be able to finish my sentence in the chat. Okay, we got a few of them already down pat. Stop falling for the what? You know what I'm saying? What they falling for? Tell them, Vince. Don't be falling for the what? But anyway, the ancestral Black American ethos. People talk about culture a lot. Culture. And of course they're talking about the foods that we eat, the clothes that we wear, the music that we listen to, and of course the dances that we do to that music. But those are just byproducts of culture. Culture is a people's ethos, their core morals, values, beliefs, and behaviors. That is what culture actually is. And that is what creates soul food. That is what creates gospel music. That is what creates jazz. That's what creates rock and roll. That's what creates R&B, hip hop. The Black American ethos. So, what is the ancestral Black American ethos, you may ask? Hotep, what the hell is the ancestral Black American ethos? Well, I'll tell you, beloved. First, it's keeping God first. That's one. The moral grounding. Okay? God first. And then immediately after that, family second. Okay? So you got God for your moral grounding, making sure that you keeping your morals intact, because God allows and disallows or approves of this or disapproves of particular behaviors. Hell, even particular thoughts. Right? And then we got family right there at number 2. That's your social grounding. Okay? Your mother, your father, and the lessons that they taught you, your aunts and uncles, your grandmother and grandfathers, and all of the things that they cultivated inside of your mind, inside of your body, inside your soul. Those people that are able to reel you in when you go a little bit too far off. The ones that are there to comfort you and support you in all of your endeavors. The ones that are there to educate, inspire, and motivate you when necessary. The ones that are there to care for you when you need caring. The ones that are always in your circle, in your corner when you need them there. That's your social grounding. that no matter how far you go out in this world, no matter where you go in this world, you'll always have your family, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. And you can go back home. You can go back home and still get that same love. So that's your social grounding. Right after that, we got self-sufficiency. That's your ethical grounding, your ethics. The fact that you're not going to wait on the next man or the next woman to make it happen. You're self-sufficient. You're going to find a way for yourself. You're going to make a way for yourself. You're going to succeed based upon your own efforts, your own merit, and your own successes. And then be able to partner with other people. Right? So that'll be the next one. Enterprising. Your economic grounding. The fact that you, as a producer, are going to produce for the greater good of your community. The fact that you, as a consumer, are going to consume for the greater good of your community. It's a symbiotic relationship between producer and consumer. So if Farmer Joe is the man for corn and potatoes and rutabagas and all of that other stuff, you as a consumer go to him. He's going to grow the best product and crop for you, and you're going to give him top dollar. And that enterprising is going to allow other businesses to do business with other businesses, other consumers to do business with other consumers. And now that's the proliferation, the economic proliferation of your people. That's your enterprising. And then, because you do all of these things, you keep God first, you have family second, self-sufficiency third, enterprising fourth, and then because you did all of those four things, you have every right to vote for your self-interest. You have every right to engage with American politics for your self-interest. Since I'm creating this ecosystem for me, my family, and my community, we are 100% going to think about us when it's time to deal with the outside world. Yeah, I understand your community may be going through something, and you, as your community, should be thinking about your self-interest. But as far as me and mine, we're going to think about what's most important and most pertinent for us, first and foremost. The further away Black Americans got from this allows for more of the destruction, more of the disenfranchisement of Black Americans. 100%. You cannot change your morals or where you stand socially, ethically, economically, or politically because of opposition. That is the entire point of the opposition. If they can get you off your square based upon the things that they say and do to you, they've won. If they can get you to destroy yourself, they've won. Period. If they can get inside here, which then translates to this, and then it ends both, they've won, and they didn't have to throw a punch. They didn't have to send a single shot because they got your fucking mind. And that's the reason why, no matter what motherfuckers will tell me about white supremacy, the government, systematic oppression, and any of that stuff, the combatants to that evil will always be good. And I'm not sitting here saying turn the other cheek. Hell no. Defend yourself. If anybody tries to harm you, your family, or your property, you have every right as an American to defend yourself and them. And I stand on that. However, when it comes down to actually making sure Black American advancement continues to proliferate, you have to stand on business at all times. You can't fold because that's all they want you to do. They want you to fold. They want you to be more acquiescent to their bullshit because that makes it much easier for you to be circumvented, subverted, and then destroyed from within. They want you to be more accepting of bullshit. They want you to be more open to the bullshit. They want you to be more open so they can come and fuck you over. And every single time that the enemy has been able to weasel their way into our communities, weasel their way into our spaces, weasel their way into our business, they've been able to circumvent and subvert. And then, of course, they're people of influence. Gloria Steinem. William O'Neill. And now these people are telling you to destroy yourself. And if you won't do that, they'll have external parties come destroy you. That's what William O'Neill did. William O'Neill gave the FBI and the local Chicago police the complete blueprint of Fred Hampton's house. Showed where he lived, showed where he slept, where he ate, where he kept his guns. Gave them everything they needed to be able to kill Fred, and that's exactly what they did. You have to be able to stand on what you know to be true, what you know to be right, in order to fight the evil. You have to. You have to fortify yourself against this evil. It's never going to stop. Racism is never going anywhere. Evil is never going anywhere. That's your lot in life. If you are a good person, you have a life of fighting against evil. In whatever different forms that it comes in your life. Okay? You have no choice. It is unavoidable. Evil people exist and they will always exist. So, the best thing that you can do is fortify not only yourself, your family, your community, your heart, your mind, and your spirit. It's absolutely imperative, or you will perish. There is no other alternative, beloved. There is nothing else you can do. Be proactive, take initiative, be brave, courageous, take care of yourself, your mind, your body, all of that other stuff, but that's never going to stop evilness from existing on this planet. New evils are produced every single day. You got to get right. You got to get right. So that's what we starting at, right? I wanted to hit y'all off with that good old intro to let y'all know what we dealing with today. So let's get into the history of family reunion, shall we? Let's get into that.
The ads appeared in copy.
Man, it's so hairpin trigger, B. Jeez. Can I maximize the screen first before you get to playing the record? Let's go.
Then the ads appeared in copy. First of all, compared to a newspaper these days, it was incredibly dull. It was quite gray. There weren't photos, and they were not that lively in terms of the reporting and storytelling.
Even without photos, the printed words of these early newspapers were very revealing about the concerns, needs, and goals of African Americans after the Civil War.
The early newspapers, as the Colored Tennessean, for example, 1865, 66 publications, also provided social services to former slaves and freedmen after the war. For example, you will find many advertisements in the Colored Tennessean where people are looking for their relatives who were split up during slavery times.
Information is wanted on my mother, whom I left in Fauquier County, Virginia in 1844, and I was sold in Richmond, Virginia to Samuel Copeland. I formerly belonged to Robert Rogers. I am very anxious to hear from my mother.
My children were sold at Clack Robinson's sale in Warren County near Roanoke, Virginia, some 20 years ago. Their names were Sterling, Louisa, and Rebecca Ann.
Information is wanted of my two boys, James and Horace, one of whom was sold in Nashville, and the other who was sold in Rutherford County.
$200 reward. During the year 1849, Thomas Sample carried away from this city as his slaves our daughter Polly and son George Washington.
Information wanted of Carolyn Dotson, who was sold from Nashville November 1st, 1862, by James Lumsden to Warwick, a trader then in human beings, who carried her.
You had many who were wandering around the country, sometimes trying to see what's happening or find out where's their place now, some trying to find relatives. That's not a stable audience to preserve and to promote an African.
So that is the origins of family reunions. So the abolition of slavery, as y'all saw, came down. There's a lot of splintered families, and this is the reason why you'll have historians and just conscious Black Americans tell you that despite slavery, that still didn't stop the Black family, and this is the reason why, because they spent as many of their resources as possible to be able to reunite with their family. My wife, my husband, my children, my son, my daughter, my uncle, all across the country, particularly in the South, obviously, but all across the country. The tradition of family reunions is an explicitly, strictly Black American tradition. explicitly. It doesn't show itself anywhere else in history. This is a Black American tradition. Black Americans coming together after slavery because they were missing each other is the reason why we have family reunions to this very day, every summer. These are the traditions that last. I want to let y'all know just how imperative family was for Black Americans, is for Black Americans. They prided themselves on family. They needed it. They literally yearned for it. They wrote in newspapers for it. Please reunite me with my wife. Please reunite me with my mother. Please reunite me with my husband and my father. Please reunite me with my children. I need my family. I need my family. There is no me without my family. They are me, I am them. So every year, from that point on, I need to see you again. At the very least, because we packing them up in the house, especially as the aftermath of the Great Migration, where you got 2-3 families in one apartment unit. But during these times, don't let this be the last time I see you. They took you away from me. I'm never gonna not see you again. That's never happening. It's never happening. I need to see you again. And then again after that. And then when every year is usually a new baby that needs to be introduced to the family, a new spouse coming from another family that's being introduced. Nah, yeah, this is my uncle, this is my aunt, this is my grandfather, this is my grandmother. Yeah, these are my people. Being family oriented is a Black American tradition. And I'm going to prove it. This is not even something I'm just talking out of my ass. Y'all know I got the primary sources for y'all. But yes, as far as family goes, the family reunion goes, it's one of the most important traditions that we have in Black America. One of our foundational traditions in this country, the family reunion. So if you are a Black American family that still holds yearly annual family reunion, salute. You keeping a 200-year-old tradition alive. Almost guaranteed for it to live another 200 years if you keep it up. I tell people, right? Talk to your granny. Talk to your oldest living relative. And then ask them about the oldest living relative that they know. So if your granny is 80, 90 years old, and the person that they knew were, 80 and 90 years old, that's 200 years of your own family's history that's right there between two people. Just two people. Your granny and the person that they remember. That's not even counting all of the other people. I know that your family history is rich. Tap into it. Okay? So that's the origins of family reunions. So we've talked about this before, but obviously in an entire stream, okay, we have to talk about it again. It's about family. So in 1954, and I want to say Jackson, Mississippi, because the Jackson Advocate sponsored this, they had the first annual Negro Home Service Fair and Kitchen Carnival, carnival with a K, a weekend celebrating homemaking among Black wives, including the most popular housewife contest. The winner got an all-expense-paid trip to Memphis while being honored as a queen for a weekend. Now, we went over this in a previous stream, so shout out to all the people that's been here. But listen, all my day ones, I'm letting y'all know right now, we're going to be repeating a lot. This shit only got 11 retweets. Nowhere near the amount of people that needs to see this stuff has seen it. So you going to just bear with it when it comes to the repeat, okay? I try not to be redundant, but I'm definitely going to repeat, So, the biggest home service event in Mississippi history. Free, first annual Negro Home Service Fair and Kitchen Carnival with a K. Okay? This is the advertisement. Okay? The advert. Everything free. Hundreds of free prizes, fun, music, games, and frolic. When the last time you niggas done frolicked? Huh? When the last time y'all frolicked out this motherfucker? Y'all ain't frolicked in a minute. Probably since childhood you ain't frolicked. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't frolicked in a long time. My beard too thick to be frolicking. The last time I frolicked was probably when my daughter was like a toddler. Yeah. She'll be 17 in March. Damn, I'm getting old, man. But anyway, next slide. The kitchen carnival with a K, visitor to get a taste of fine foods prepared from latest recipes. Okay? Everybody who attends the first annual home service fair and kitchen carnival with a K, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night will get a taste of fine foods prepared from the latest and most famous recipes. The food preparation and cooking will be under the direction of Miss Mary Lou Davis. Now, you already know. That's an ancestral name all day long. I'm pretty sure your granny got 2 first names. Fannie Mae, Anna Mae, Mary Lou. Mrs. Mary Lou Davis of Memphis, food preparation and cooking expert assisted by Miss Fannie Luckett, former home economic teacher at Lanier High School. The fine foods which will be given away for free include baked ham with fruit garnish, chicken in casserole, sausage and sauerkraut, barbecued ribs and with garlic sauce, strawberry cheese pie, lemon perfection pie, pecan pie, angel food delight, coconut dream with ice cream, baked ice cream pie, I guess that's pie, fancy birthday cake, fancy canape. I still never found out how to pronounce that. Canape, I think it's canape. Salad dressing made with beer, never even heard of that before I seen this article, and foods cooked with cola drinks and stir and roll biscuits. So, they wanted to feed you. They wanted to make sure you got good food. Okay? Coming through, and this is all free. Doing this out of kindness of their heart. You notice that Miss Fannie Luckett over here, she was a home ec teacher. Do they even still have home ec in schools? Is that even a thing anymore? Do they still have home ec? Let me know if y'all kids is in home ec. Okay? And after I finish this slide, we'll get to the chat. First 100 women get beauty kits. Okay? The first 100 women on opening night to enter the home service fair and kitchen carnival with a K, at the College Park Auditorium this week will be given a lovely beauty kit. The beauty kit will contain a number of beauty items made by well-known makers of fine beauty preparations. The fair will open Thursday night and run through Saturday night, with many other gifts to be given away each night. So yeah, come on in. If you are one of the first 100 people to come through to the fair, okay, to the carnival with a K, you're going to get a beauty kit. It's a dope incentive, but let's get to the chat. Let's see what the chat got to say tonight. A2R says, hey, y'all. Sean says, I had no clue about O'Neal. Hell yeah, that was just like his whole thing. That was like his whole thing. Big informant, big rat. He says, I'm not surprised Ernest Withers did the same for Dr. King, my uncle and grandpa, in 1968. See, look. He done got, his lineage got crossed during 1968. Who says I need to attend a family reunion? That's a fact. You got to tap back in. Likewise for me. Got to get to the family reunions. I did kick it with my peoples this summer because my little cousin had a sweet 16. So a lot of my family members came for that. Had a good time. That's actually the picture that's in my Avi. That picture with that dope shirt that I'm wearing. This right here. This little picture right here. Yeah, that's when I was at my little cousin's sweet 16. All right. I know Kick is not giving me the full chat. So just give me 1 second because I know the kick chat be on Fuku time when it comes down to mobile. And I'll be checking the comments from mobile. But yeah, definitely you want to tap in with your family, man. You want to tap in with your family. Oh yeah, I gotta hurry up and mute the thing because I don't want the feedback like last time. They was like, yo, echo in the echo. Oh man. You know, why does Kick take so long to load up? Huh? Why does it take so long to load up? Now we can mute it. Okay, it's muted. Okay. It takes so. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Got it. All right. So next slide. Let's get to the next one. Let's get to the next one. So these are some of the contestants. Excuse me, some of the contestants of the housewife contest. Okay, so you got Mrs. Bessie McElroy, Mrs. Nettie Harris, and Mrs. Christine Mayweather. One of the things that I always found interesting is that they put their addresses in the newspaper. Like, that's how they, like, represent it. Remember, if you go back to the generational gap episode where we watched the video of Russ Meeks and the young black guy that was addressing the room. It was like a group panel, a group discussion or whatnot. And he said his first and last name, Reginald something, and then he gave his address. Like, that's how you represented yourself when you're speaking locally. It's like, yeah, my name is Hotep Dubes, 205, Pearl Street or something like that. Like, you let them know where you was from. It was like you was repping a set or something like that. So I see it all the time in the archives when it comes to this stuff, like name and address go along with it. So Mrs. Bessie McElroy was one of the contestants. And so this was the article just giving people the understanding of what the contest was, how it's going to be conducted, and things like that. So says, publisher of the Jackson Advocate, the winner will receive many valuable prizes, among them a trip to Memphis with all expense paid, where she will be the guest of Mrs. Mary Lou Davis, director of the Home Service Show. She will be greeted by the mayor. What was that? She will be greeted by the mayor of Beale Street and given the key to the city. She will be entertained at a reception given in her honor by the Housewives League of Memphis. That was another dope thing. I'm so glad that this is how I know the ancestors is so correct. They had housewife leagues. They also had husband leagues as well. And it's like when it comes down to leagues among black men, there are so many different types. You had ones along business lines. You had ones along religious lines. You had ones along like community service lines. Like, so black men had leagues. Black women had leagues. So they had housewife leagues all across the country, all across the South, all across the Northeast, all of that stuff. So you would actually, housewives would congregate monthly, quarterly, yearly to be able to discuss new ideas, new ways to be and improve on their, roles as housewives. It wasn't something that they looked down upon. And I know that they're going to be, the feminists in the crowd is going to be like, oh, they had no choice and all of that other stuff. You'll see in these slides that's not even true. You'll see in these slides that's not even true. And then one of the other things while we on the subject, the whole the whole women couldn't have bank accounts and stuff like that. Like, I get it. I'm not going to sit here and say that it wasn't true per se, but also when it came down to that, women had money. Like, Annie Turnbull Malone was a millionaire. Like, you think she didn't have a bank account, bro? Like, come on, son. Like, let's be logical here. A lot of this stuff, like a lot of these backward things that motherfuckers was doing wasn't even honestly law for real. It was just like what motherfuckers just said in practice and shit like that, which I guess doesn't make it any better, but it's like a lot of this shit wasn't even on the books for real. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like women can't have bank accounts. Like, I know the ancestors had bank accounts. Like, I read primary sources all day long. I've read of black women having bank accounts in the 19th century. Like, we read about black American banks, historical black American banks all of the time. You think a black bank was telling a black woman that she couldn't deposit her money in there? Like, honestly, What sense would that fucking make? Like, that's not something. Anyway, even in that, most husbands gave their wives all of their money. They gave them all of their money. 50 Cent tells that story all of the time about how his grandfather would give his grandmother all of his paycheck. So she knows exactly what's going on in their house financially. Most housewives did the budgeting. He goes to work. He provides. He does all of these things. I take care of the home. You feel me? Like, that's the symbiotic relationship. The same way I was talking about, customer, consumer and producer, or parent and child, husband and wife, like siblings. Like, these are symbiotic relationships. So she would have almost full control of the house's finances anyway. Like, that's how that shit goes. He comes home, give her, his pay, and then she looks, okay, this is due. We got to pay this. I got to get groceries, all of that. And you'll learn in one of the books that we're reading tonight about mandatory allowances that wives are supposed to get. Mandatory. It wasn't even something that you need to negotiate. So, again, the narrative of oppressed wives and stuff like that, yeah, they exist just like they exist today. But I wouldn't go out on a limb and say most wives are being abused financially, verbally, physically, anything like that, despite them existing. And I know that it's largely shaped by media. Like, we call it tank tops wife beaters. Because there were men who beat their wives in those tank tops. Does that mean every man who wore tank tops or wife beaters beat their wives? No. Like, that's just insane to think. And so when I hear these narratives and stuff like that, that's rooted in trauma and all this other stuff, it's like, yo, y'all do have to understand that overall people have been decent. Yeah, they have carnal desires. Yeah, they make mistakes and stuff like that. But it's not inherent in anybody to be evil. They grow evil due to the things that they subject themselves to, or the things that they choose to behave in, the things that they say about themselves constantly, because that's going to be the number one indicator. How you talk to yourself, how you refer to yourself is going to be the major indicator of whether you're going to be good or evil or not. You psyoping yourself into being a good or a bad person. That's just how that shit goes. So again, I don't think these three women were abused. I wouldn't assume they were just because, or off the virtue of them being housewives. That would be fucking insane. That would be crazy to think. So yeah, just wanted to, go on that little rant about the housewife leagues of the country. Another Black American tradition. And going back to the paper, and will be guests on the Homemakers program on radio station WDIA. So not only did she win, not only does she get the key to the city, not only is she going to be entertained and all that other stuff, now we have Mrs., such and such, getting an interview. It's like a podcast interview on how she's been able to be the best housewife in Jackson, Mississippi. Tell us about it. Tell us your secrets. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you run the household? Give us the game. Okay? Mrs. Ida Mae Qualls of Southwest Qualls Funeral Home will place a limousine at the winner's disposal so she may come and go from her beautiful suite at Lumpkins Hotel as she chooses. I want you to see that these are all Black businesses who are taking pride in their community, throwing a super dope event on their own volition. This was sponsored by the Jackson Advocate, a Black newspaper in Mississippi. This is just Black businesses being like, you know what we should do? We should throw a house service fair and a kitchen carnival with a K, for the people. And what else we should do? We should have a contest for the most popular housewife. We're a communal people. We're a tight-knit people. You feel me? Let's do that. There's a bunch of Black businesses coming together being like, yo, this is what we can do for the community, yo. Yo, we're going to advertise it in the Jackson Advocate. We'll get the Wives League of Memphis involved. We'll get the radio station involved. We'll get Mrs. Qualls of the Qualls Funeral Home to donate a limousine for the weekend. All these Black businesses coming together to honor their community. between Jackson, Mississippi, and Memphis. Let's do it. Why not? Ain't nothing stopping us. Ain't no white man in the way. Ain't no white supremacy been brought up here. We just celebrating black American housewives and all of the great that they do. We're going to honor them. Because even if you didn't win the contest, you were in the runnings. You got voted for. I highly doubt, unless, there was some mean-ass ladies who was entering in the contest, that nobody got 0 votes. These are notable women in the community. One of these women two of these women in this screenshot alone had to lose. But look, they're still pillars of their community based upon them being housewives, them taking care of their family. This was something that we celebrated. This is something that we made black women feel great about as a culture. You should be a proud housewife. You should be proud of the work you're doing. You're literally sustaining the livelihoods of your entire household. Who knows what would happen if she left? Motherfuckers don't know how to cook or none of that shit. Like, they need her. She sustains so much. We've reduced this role to oppression and labor and all this other shit. And it's like, yo, you work at fucking Costco. What are you talking about, sis? You would rather work at Costco? And I'm not sitting here saying, I'm not advocating for women to get out of the workforce and shit like that. Do what the fuck you want to do. However, I think that it would be dope if you were going to work for anybody that you would be working for your family. The husbands do it all of the time, every day. They work for a company to be able to work for their family. Like, that's how that goes. And I'm not saying that women who work don't do that, but I'm just saying when it comes down to either ors, if you're one of them career women and all that other stuff, do your thing. Get it how you live. Have that skill, for sure. But I say the same thing about men. You going into your 40s and 50s without a family, my man, like, what are you doing? You mean to tell me in all of the women in this country, you couldn't find one woman to lock in with, to build a family with, bro? Like, come on. So it ain't something of me being a misogynist or nothing like that. I be on men pause more than the women when it comes to this stuff. Like, where's your family at, fam? Where's your household at? Let's get it together. So I'm just saying, family's great. Contestants are now busy seeking the support of their friends and neighbors. They include Mrs. Ethel Williams of Prosperity Street, Mrs. Mertz Gregory of North Lamar, etc., etc. But now, this slide right here. And this is the first entry in the most popular housewife contest. This is Mrs. Ethel Williams. Okay? Mrs. Ethel Williams. It's a little small for me, so just give me a second. My eyes are perfect, but, just bear with me. Anyway, Mrs. Ethel Williams of 2538 Prosperity Street is the first contestant to enter the most popular housewife contest, which is being sponsored by the Jackson Advocate, Home Service Fair, and Kitchen Carnival. Carnival with a K. She is the wife of Mr. McCain Williams. She is the wife of Mr. McCain Williams and is well known throughout the city for her love and expert knowledge of flowers and plants. Can I zoom in on this? Because this is bugging the hell out of me right now. Let's see if I can zoom. Because Twitter don't be allowing you to zoom sometimes, G. Like the picture, they zoom in a little bit. They zoom in on everything but the photo. This is ridiculous. All right. You guys going to have to bear with me. Okay? So, I got to zoom in. So I got to push the mic over. All right, so it says, where we at? Expert knowledge on flowers and plants. Her lovely home and garden was one of those visited during the recent garden pilgrimage made by the Garden Club Council. And her greenhouse which is her hobby, was the envy of many of the ladies making the interesting trips. So again, these are more clubs. Okay, these are more clubs that women have that are emphasizing their interests. So you got a garden club, and I know you've more than likely heard of a garden club. There's a bunch of women who go around the neighborhood inspecting and helping and guiding people to have a beautiful garden. Okay, they want to beautify their homes. That's the whole point, is to be able to maintain a particular calm, a particular theme, a particular vibe when it comes down to their homes. Everything starts in the home. Your home should be your solace. Your home should be, honestly, the cliche says, where the heart is. That's supposed to be where you're grounded at. You're supposed to love when you come home from wherever you go. The illest vacation or the most grueling day of work. Home should be exactly where you need to be after those times, period. And so the ancestors, they really prided themselves on being able to beautify their homes. Okay? What else we got? And here we go. Mrs. Williams is a member of Pearl Street AME Church, where she sings in the choir. She is president of the Homestead Heights Garden Club, so she's the president of one, and a member of the Up-to-Daters and the Dressmakers Club. So again, more clubs. More clubs. A dressmakers club. Bunch of women coming together to make dresses. Look at the self-sufficiencies. This is what we're talking about as far as the ancestral Black American ethos. You see, I ain't bullshitting. This is in 1954. This is not some shit 100 years ago, nothing like that. This is in 1954. Some of y'all parents and stuff like that was around this time, depending on how old you are. This ain't that old. A dressmakers club. They came together and made dresses. So all of the girls and women in the community would have some clothes. More than likely at affordable prices. Self-sufficiency. Though she works at a gainful occupation each day, except weekends. I'm going to read that one more time. Though she works at a gainful occupation each day, except weekends, Mrs. Williams finds time to make her own slipcovers, curtains, draperies, and design her own clothes. She works Monday to Friday and still finds time to make dresses and house furnishings. Okay? So when it comes down to the whole career woman thing, I understand that, it's rough, it's tough. However, it's possible. It's possible. We was in Rashad's space earlier today talking about time and the time that you spend. So in lock-in culture, right? You do your work from 9 to 5, but then from 5 to 9, you lock in for your dream. That's simply what this is. That's all it is. So when you got all the your sigmas and your alphas and all these motherfuckers telling you about grind set and locking in and all this other stuff, Miss Ethel Williams was locking in 1954. Going to work every day and then still coming home and making dresses. Still being the president of the local garden club. Still singing in the choir at the church. Still making sure that the house is where it's supposed to be. Locked in. She's locked in. So all you grind set niggas and all you motherfuckers that be talking about locking in, this is what it looks like when you lock in your particular field. You can learn a lot from Mrs. Ethel Williams here. Let's continue. Let's see. I'm close. To visit her home and see the beautiful garden and lawn, to see and admire the wonderful taste which has been shown where her selection of furnishings and colorful accessories makes one realize why Mrs. Williams is a good choice for the most popular housewife. In the picture above, and they started just describing what she was wearing and what she got going on as far as the appliances in the kitchen. And from what they were describing, this was like the state-of-the-art shit. This was the state-of-the-art shit. So, in the picture above, she is shown by her beautiful red range and I think the range is the stove, which was purchased at McKay Plumbing Company, more than likely a local black-owned company. Her deluxe refrigerator matches the stove in color and is a delightful contrast to her green and white kitchen walls. So, obviously, this is, copied and stuff like that, so you can't see the color. But just imagine, this is red, the fridge is red, and then the walls are white and green. Okay? All women interested in entering the housewife contest are asked to contact Ms. Mary Lou Davis at the Jackson Advocate, the winner will. You already know what the winner will. So, I wasn't able to find the winner to the contest, unfortunately. I ain't gonna lie. It seems like Miss Ethel Williams kind of had the edge just off of the strength of, like, they had a whole page out for her. They gave her major props and did all of that. Oh, yeah, let's not forget the up-to-daters. Miss Ethel Williams knew everything about you, boy. That's what the up-to-daters club was. I want you to know that. The up-to-daters was just the 1954 way of saying gossip. Gossip. She knew what was going on in the community, okay? So if your son flunked out of school, if your daughter was, acting up, if your wife wasn't doing what she was supposed to do, if your husband wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, Miss Ethel Williams knew. She was up to date. She knew what was going on. And there was a group of them. It was a club. It was an entire club of women gossiping about each other. Like letting everybody know in the community about the community. Keeping everybody up to date. Okay? Close Claude. We ain't going to the AI tonight. So, that was 1954 in Jackson, Mississippi. What else we got? Is that it? Yeah, I guess that was it. I thought I saved something else.
Then the ads appeared in.
Oh my goodness.
In copy, first of all.
Anyway, is that it? Oh yeah. Here we go. This was the last one, I think. We can do we already went through the family reunion stuff. So, damn, it was July 30th I said this, but so I said in this tweet, wedding anniversary should be, and it was two choices: private between couple or a family and friend affair. 80% of people out of 55 votes said it should be private between couples, right? So this is what it really was. So traditionally, Black American wedding anniversaries were celebrated with friends and family. They come together and shower the bride and groom with gifts. Not mad at those who celebrate with just their spouse, but I do think this is a dope tradition. And I do. You feel me? I do think that, this is dope. So we're actually going to dive into this book further tonight. So here it goes. Celebration of wedding anniversaries. The following are the anniversaries in their regular order. So the first year, cotton. Second year, paper. Third year, leather. Fifth year, wooden. Seventh year, woolen. 10th year, tin. 12th year, silk. 15th year, crystal. 20th year, china. 25th year, silver. 50th year, gold. And 75th year, diamond. Okay? And then they give instructions on how to send out, wedding anniversaries and stuff like that. But that's the whole point. The whole point is to show you that you're inviting people to your wedding anniversary. And then I found this in the archives. Look at that. October 5th, 1940 in Boston. Celebrate first wedding anniversary. Okay? The popular young couple, Mr. and Mrs. Comer Tufts, celebrated their first wedding anniversary with a party at their home. Their friends showered them with gifts. The guests were Mrs. Lois Tuft, mother of the host, Mrs. A. Hunt, mother of the hostess, and Monsieur and Madame James Taylor Wood, all these different people that was there. So yeah, this was what an wedding anniversary looked like, ancestrally, traditionally. This is what they did. Okay, so I did want to start with the the husband and wife dynamic and stuff like that. I know everybody thinks that I was hard on the wives and stuff like that. Let me not say that, because I really don't care what y'all think I was hard on. Pause. So let's go to the etiquette book, huh? So I was searching through that etiquette book. It's a nice segue. We were just, so that same book that we just seen in the tweet is this same book right here. Just to let y'all know what the title is, I've had this book in my joint for a long time. National Capital Code of Etiquette. Okay, this is the name of the book. So let's zoom in, and we have the ability to actually zoom in. There we go. There we go. So we can start here. So like I said, I was just searching different words like parent, son, daughter, father, mother, husband, wife, stuff like that in the books. And this book is all about etiquette. So this chapter is called How to Dress. So they was letting motherfuckers know, like, yo, the do's and don'ts of fashion. You feel me? Do this, don't do that. And this is, I found interesting. It says, parents, have your children dress as well as your income will permit. Nothing teaches a child self-respect and confidence more than good clothes. Never force a boy to wear made over or ill-fitting clothes unless absolutely necessary. Nothing is more trying to a boy than to be accused by his playmates of wearing his father's clothes cut down. Now, I know that we've all had hand-me-downs and stuff like that. So I just want to put that little disclaimer out here. This book is written by upper-class Black Americans, okay? These people, yeah, they have the money. Not even gonna hold you. So a lot of their standards are going to be above a particular poverty level. However, that's just the material side. The moral side, the conduct side, the etiquette side, it don't matter how much money you have. And that was honestly the reason why they made this book, is to be able to refine their contemporaries and stuff like that, because they understood that there are going to be some levels of unrefinement that their contemporaries have. This book was written in 1920, okay? So, yes, there's going to be levels to this stuff. Like, yes, it's up to us, the upper class, the people who, you know, have made something of themselves and stuff like that, to be able to help our less fortunate, the people who don't know as much as us and stuff like that, to be able to help them, okay? To be able to help them. That's what this is all about. All right, so we were talking about wifely duties. We can get into the husband duties. So let's see. Where is it? I know it's in this book. There we go. There we go. So we're going to do a lot of this chapter, because this chapter is about etiquette in the home. This is going to speak to the family values and stuff like that. But this part, the last time, because I talked about this on stream as well, and I did it on Father's Day. This is how I honor the fathers. Okay? So let's close this. Oh, come on. Zoom back in. All right, hopefully I can see we'll zoom in one more iota. There we go. All right, so here we go. This is the father's duties, okay? It is the father's duty, no matter how limited his income, to make provisions for his family in the event of his death. Life is at best uncertain, and there is no such real tragedy in this life as the family which faces the future after the funeral without funds or ability to earn an honest living. Okay? Such things drive boys to crime and girls to the street. Life insurance is absolutely essential, and the first present a young husband should hand to his wife is a policy in some good and reliable insurance company. That's the first thing you need to be handing over to your whiz. Yo, I love you. You're good. Top of the beneficiaries. You're good. I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to spend the rest of my life taking care of you, providing for you, loving for you, all of that stuff. And my first My first gesture, my first symbol of my duty to you is letting you know that the day I die, you will be okay. That's how we're going to start. We're going to start with the end. That's how intentional I am. This is how intentional I am. I plan to be with you for the rest of my life. So, because of that, here's an insurance policy to let you know that in the event of my death, in the event of my demise, you and the children will be taken care of. I will continue to provide for y'all even after I am gone. That's what that means. That even after I die, I will continue to provide for y'all. I told y'all about my OG who passed away last October. Okay? My aunt is okay. I don't really talk about my personal business like that, but my aunt is okay. You hear me? He did what he was supposed to do while he was alive. So that even after he died, he can continue on to do the things that he knew to do while he was alive. That's legacy, nigga. That's legacy. I have never heard a single bad thing about my uncle, and I know he wasn't a perfect person. That's legacy. When your good outweighs your bad, when your triumphs outweigh your failures, when the good that you stand on actually outweighs whatever mistakes you made while you were alive, nigga, that's legacy. Or at least a proper one. So the first thing you should give your wife is a life insurance policy. That's what the ancestors said. That's not me. That's not coming from Hotep Dubes. That's what the ancestors said to do. Let's move on. It is likewise the father's duty to see that his wife's allowance is up to the limit of his ability. Likewise, it's likewise. So not only do you got to make sure you give her the life insurance policy, nigga, that's not even the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the money you about to shell out. This woman is your responsibility. You have to take care of this woman. Win, lose, or draw, nigga. She's yours. It is likewise the father's duty to see that his wife's allowance is up to the limit of his ability. And it's her duty to see that the family is well fed and clothed, and nothing else is more certain to produce an unhappy, discontented household as a stingy provider. I'm going to say that again. And nothing else is more certain to produce an unhappy, discontented household as a stingy provider. I tell fathers and men all of the time, like, yo, if your kids ain't constantly asking you for something, they don't think you got it. If your lady ain't constantly asking you for something, they don't think you got it. That's life. My OG told me, my uncle, may he rest in peace. He used to tell me this all of the time. He was like, yo, when my sons want or need something, they go to their mother. When their mother wants or needs something, she comes to me. When I want or need something, there ain't nobody I can turn to. There's no other person I can go to and be like, hey, can you get me the things that I want and need? No, that's my job. That's my job. That's my responsibility. You dig? That's what being a man is all about. I don't know how people don't feel a sense of accomplishment, pride, and purpose when it comes down to providing. I know that the misandrous and the weirdo niggas have turned that into a whole gender war bullshit or whatever, but I don't give a fuck about that. I'm talking about you as a man. That don't make you feel good that you got all of the stuff taken care of? That don't make you feel whole? That don't make you feel fulfilled? That you actually able to do this for your people and love on your people the right way? That you feel it's your duty? You're mandated to do these things? You don't feel like a man? I know I do. It's one of the greatest feelings ever. Where you can tell your woman or tell your children, yo, I got it. Don't worry about it. And it be true. When your kids need something or want something, or your wife needs or wants something, and it's reasonable, and you like, yeah, nah, I got you. And you really got them. It's the greatest feeling in the world to me. It's the greatest feeling in the world to me. Being able to do that. No, there's no other, like when we talking about conquest and accomplishment and all this other stuff, that's the shit. That's the real shit. Your entire family's wants and needs are being provided for by you, nigga. That's power. See, motherfuckers be wanting all of the power of being a masculine man, but none of the responsibility. That's what comes with it. The more power you have, the more responsibility that comes along with it, nigga. That's the whole point of being a man. That's it. Power and responsibility. And how you handle your responsibility is how you're going to handle your power, or how much power you get. So if you skirt responsibility, if you pass the buck all of the time, if you blaming the next motherfucker for your failures, you're not going to have much power. But when you take everything on the shoulders and you wear all of that shit, the successes and failures of your household is on your shoulders. So when it's time, when it's failure time, you gotta look in that mirror. You gotta double down on what you know to be right. But when them successes happen, that's when you get all of the love, adulation, admiration, and all that other stuff. And then during the hard times, the love, admiration, adoration, and stuff like that don't go away, because they know that this is temporary. They know your track record. They're at peace with your track record. That's what this is about. This is how you do it. Put your family at ease by being a man. Relax your family by being a man. Reassure your family by being a man. That's what it's about. Okay? So, he should not at no time cripple himself to provide either food or apparel beyond his means, and should not let nothing interfere with a small savings account. Be a steward with your money, nigga. Do right by your bread. The money that you do have, make sure it's invested in the right places. It's stacked up in the right places at the right times. You need to have it's 2025, so we can update this. Yeah, small savings and all that other stuff. That's, again, they're doing this. They're trying to appeal to the masses here. So in 1920, when this was written, you feel me? That's what, that's what you're going to see. Small savings account. Because back then, you can actually, make money off the interest of your savings account. Now, not so much. You feel me? You was able to make 4 to 7, sometimes even 10% on your savings account back then. Not today. So, the modern equivalent of this is to have assets, stock portfolios, crypto, real estate. You feel me? Having income producing assets is going to allow interest to accrue, appreciation to accrue, stock, and all that other stuff. Like, yeah, that's what that means. That's what that means. As a matter of fact, I consider a life insurance policy an asset. But anyway, the mother should take pride in providing the best possible food and clothing for herself and children that her allowance permits. Careful planning and real judgment will permit the expenditure of a small allowance far more satisfactorily than large amounts carelessly and unnecessarily expended. All girls should be taught to sew both by hand and on the machine. So again, this is just in the home and how it should be. But yes, this is all ancestral. This is all Black American. Okay? 1920, 105 years ago. This is what the ancestors were saying as far as the duty of a husband and the duty of a father. We're going to get back to this book, but it was only right for me to stay on the path of, we started with marriages, right? And they have chapters in here about dating and proposals. I'm telling you, this book really covers pretty much everything when it comes to interpersonal relationships, private and public. I mean, they literally have a chapter on mourning, on how to mourn properly, how to mourn a death properly. You feel me? But I do want to get to this book here. This book is called He Leadeth Me. Now, what you'll see, especially throughout like the 19th going into the early 20th century, is that again, God first. Deeply Christian background as far as Black America is concerned. So yeah, it's not at all surprising me that this book would even be titled this. You dig? So yeah. So here we go. This is Frances A. Joseph. Her book is called He Leadeth Me. This book was written in, so it's page 24. So just want to make sure I can go back to it. This book was written when was this book published? I gotta know now. What's going on? Okay. Why is it taking so long to scroll? What's going on? Don't piss me off. There we go. This is the author here. She has like a mixed background. Like her mom's was a slave. I think her grandmom's was a Native American. But I just wanted to know when this book was published. It's looking like late 19th century. But I can't see. Leadeth Me. There we go. 1913. So early 20th century. Got it. Okay, so back to page 24. Boom. Okay. I'm going to zoom on in here. All right. Everybody can see. Everybody can read along. So this is just her book, her autobiography, just talking about herself. Okay? And we'll read a couple pages from this. I was born in a log cabin in Holmesville, Pike County, Mississippi, November 25th, 1861. My mother was the daughter of Squire Yancey, a slave, a local preacher of the AME Church. My father left home for the war and never returned. My mother's mother was an Indian for whom I was named. My grandparents kept me with them until I was 8 years old. Grandfather and I were much in love with each other. He rarely went to town, Summit, about 7 miles from home, without taking me along with him, without taking me along on the ox team. These were treats to which I eagerly looked forward. I well remember my first money and how I invested it. A gentleman in the store where grandfather dealt gave me 2 silver 5-cent pieces. I began to look around for the largest thing I could purchase for 5 cents. It proved to be a sugar loaf, which was about 10 inches long and about 8 inches around and was smooth, pink, and very pretty. I bought it, and the clerk wrapped a piece of brown paper around it, and I went out on the steps to eat while waiting for grandfather to finish his shopping. A goat came up just as I seated myself, sprang at me, and grabbed the brown paper. I held on tightly and screamed for help, hugging the loaf so closely that it was crushed and made just one little handful of pink sugar. It was nearly all wind. The other 5 cents I put into my mouth for safekeeping and swallowed it. I was inconsolable and cried myself to sleep that night at the loss of my first money. Oh man, that's super cool. I like that. That's what, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird or whatever, but I really just be enjoying these stories. I really do, man. There's something about it. I don't know. It's something that grabs me. It's something that gravitates me towards these stories. That was a very cute little story that she told. She had 10 cents, spent 5 of it on a sugar loaf. I don't even know what that is. But I'm going to have to assume it's just a loaf of sugar, which is crazy for a treat. But I mean, I guess that's what all treats are, right? And then a goat comes out of nowhere and tries to eat it. And because she was trying to save her bread, she swallowed the other 5-cent piece. Like, what? All right. Grandfather helped to build the first church for Negroes in Summit. Being one of the founders and having a little education, He was so anxious to have us taught that he gave us the use of the church to a northern missionary to open the first school for colored children. I shall never forget the first day in school. There were about 20 children seated on 4 long, rough, backless benches. Man, I know their posture was on point. Had to sit up on their own without the backs. I was in the front row. Grandfather had given me his precious old blue back speller. Noticing I was the only one that had a book, I felt sorry for the other children and divided my book with them by tearing out leaves and passing one to each child. Meanwhile, the teacher was unfolding a large cloth chart having the alphabet, which attracted my attention. Then our work began in earnest. You look at that. Sweet girl. Very sweet girl. Wanting to help. Her grandfather obviously was a very influential person in her life. She spent so much time with him. He literally is the reason why she could go to school, because he was one of the people that built the church inside of the town. This is what I be talking about when it comes to like how integral family is. She watched her grandfather build a church with the other black men in town to make sure that people not only had a place to worship, but also had a place to educate the babies. And he obviously invested in her education because she was the only one in the class out of 20 children to have a book. So he clearly emphasized education, because out of 20 children, she was the only one with a book. And then because she realized what she considered her own privilege, she was like, you know what? Everybody eats. Everybody gets a page. Everybody gets to have their own version of a book today. You see what I be talking about when I be talking about community and the ancestral Black American ethos? This is a child. It's instilled in her off the rip to share amongst her people. And this is, of course, a child's place, so she's going to do it in a childlike way. But these values were instilled in her obviously very young. She got that energy or got that moral from her family. In the churchyard, nearby slept a silent congregation in which nearly every home in the church was represented. Piece of plank marking the grave of some departed loved one. How I loved the big meeting days, when on the first Sunday of the month, people came from 1 to 30 miles to hear the gospel from some poor, earnest, struggling black preacher. We children sat on the floor around the altar, glad to be there, sometimes falling asleep and bumping our heads. When preaching was over, we would eat dinner that had been prepared on Sunday, water our stock, and start for home. As we only lived 2 miles from the church, my grandparents walked. Brother Eugene and I ran on in front through the woods, taking off our shoes and wading through the creek, while the old folks walked the log further down. Our parents were very poor. We had to go barefoot all the summer so as to save our shoes for winter. Okay. There were russets with brass tips, and brother and I would try to see which could shine those tips the brightest. Then when all work was done, we rushed away to the clay pile to make mud pies, men, houses, etc. Sometimes grandfather came out and while watching us, made some useful suggestions that we always prized. We had no toys and sometimes amused ourselves catching butterflies. Grandfather would tell us the names of the pretty colors on their wings, then we would let them go. Often I watched them as far as I could, and then would ask where they had gone. Was there another town like ours? He would answer yes, and tell of the large city far away where he hoped to go someday. His hopes were realized sooner than he expected. My oldest uncle lived on a plantation with his wife and 2 children. The overseer had ordered my uncle's wife to come to his room while uncle was away. When he returned, he took his gun and killed the overseer. And this made my uncle a fugitive from his own town. See, I be trying to tell y'all that the ancestors was never pussy. I be trying to tell y'all. This is just her autobiography. She's just telling you about her life. Okay? Okay? So, listen here. Wasn't none of that going on. He did what? He did what to you? Say less. Overseer was dead. Overseer was dead. That's just how that goes. Happens more often than you think. Anyway, grandfather was so troubled by this he could not live in peace at his home. I was 8 years old and brother was 10 when they moved to the city of New Orleans and sent us to a private school near our home. See, more emphasis on education, more investing in their education. They grew up poor. But she's the one with the book, and now she's in New Orleans going to private school. 4 years later, found me in the 4th grade in Mrs. Ludwig's room in the public school of Cleo Street in Britannia, or near Britannia. My grandparents both died, leaving us with mother, who had married a sailor. She moved downtown and sent me to Straight University a while. My stepfather died, and mother had to take me from school. Brother and I had to help her earn money to support the other 3 children. My heart ached, and many nights my pillow was wet with tears because I could not finish school. That's another thing that I saw a lot of. Like, taking these kids, particularly little girls, because boys, they were taken out of school more frequently than girls, just because of, obviously, like, gender-based work and stuff like that. Like, the boys needed to be out on the field with the other men and stuff like that. So I know Booker T. Washington didn't really go to school much, and I know other little black boys, for the most part, only went to school maybe 4 to 6 months out of the year, if that, because they had to work during the grow season and the harvest season and stuff like that. So a lot of the boys were taken out of schools, but the girls, yeah, they would keep the girls in school considerably longer than the boys. And one of the things that I saw over and over again is that when little girls during the late 19th century couldn't go to school, they were heartbroken. Little boys too, don't get me wrong. It's like little boys love education too, but their education was more physical. They like learning by doing. That I'm pretty sure a lot of men can attest to this. Like, I tell y'all all of the time, I had my first job at 13, working 13 hours a day just because of me wanting to learn more from my boss. He was a black American man who took me in and looked out for me and was like a father figure to me in my teenage years, and also he put money in my pocket. So I would much rather spend 13 hours a day at 13 years old, which I did, than going to school. So I didn't really miss school like that. I wasn't that scholastic or academically inclined. I just liked learning, though, and I think that's a big difference. And so little girls, they love school. My sister, she loves school. And I'm not saying all girls love school, but I know by and large, the more studious, isn't that like even a stat right now when it comes to black women and all that other stuff? They have the most degrees and all of that stuff. Like, girls love school. Like they like going to school. So her being heartbroken that she couldn't finish school, it tracks. This is hundreds of years. You feel me? That it still tracks to this very day. Let's go. I love poetry, and every spare penny I got went for books, which I read at night. Our lot was hard, but when brother told me confidentially that he was tired of working for $10 per month and had decided to run away and accept a place as a cook on the Illinois Central freight train, my cup of sorrow was full to overflowing. Man. Oof. We gonna finish. We was done after this anyway. I just wanted to really highlight her relationship with her grandfather, because family is important. When a month had passed, he wrote to mother begging her pardon and sending her his first month's wages. He sent her the rent regularly every month until she died 20 years later. This boy paid his mother's rent for 20 years. 20 years. Only his color has prevented his rising to a higher position than charge of the president's private car. For he is loved and respected by all the railroad officials. So he's working on the railroad, sending his mother money every month so she can pay the rent. So it wasn't just like, he was like, I'm working for $10 a month. And that's clearly not paying rent. That's clearly not paying rent. takes a chance on himself and his ability to go to Illinois. You feel me? And now he's making more money, so much so that his apology to his mother was paying her rent for the next 2 decades until she died. That woman didn't have to worry about her rent. Like, I know you miss me. I know I left kind of hastily, but it was for good reason. And I got you. Don't worry about it, Ma. Don't worry about it. I got you. I know you a widow. I know you by yourself. And I know you got Francis. That's my little sister. I'm going to make sure y'all are okay. And if it wasn't for honestly, if it wasn't for me, for these motherfuckers being super racist and shit, I would have been a manager. I would have been running this shit. But, their company, their rules. So it is what it is. But here's the rent every month on time. 20 years. 20 years. You got to give it up for them, son. What's that, 240 months? Something like that? Yeah, 10 years would be 120. So, yeah, 240 months on time every month. Held it down. In my 17th year, let's continue. In my 17th year, I had many suitors. All right. Slow it down, Francis. What you mean you had many? We might have to keep reading. Hold on. I was wed and lived happily with my husband for 10 years when drink, the curse of America, gained a hold on him and destroyed our happiness and made a legal separation necessary. Damn. So she chose, and she was able to stick with him for 10 years, but then he got to that alcohol. That alcohol. All right. It was then the Lord called me to the mission field. And in trying to cheer the brokenhearted, I forgot my own troubles. 3 children were to be educated, and God helped me wonderfully to provide for them. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Sorry that your husband, didn't do what he was supposed to do. How and why I began prison reform work in New Orleans. Okay, well, yeah, that's not a part of tonight's show, but I do implore you guys to go ahead and download this book to your phones. I have an iPhone, so I put this book in my books app. I have never seen this book before, so it's very interesting, but this is just another autobiography from the ancestors that's going to corroborate all of the shit that I'll be telling y'all in modern day on the timeline. It is what it is. Okay? So, what we got next? Yes, y'all. So, like I said, you're going to see a lot of Christianity in theme in this stuff. It is what it is. It is what it is. You got to check it out. So I know if you're one of those atheistic people who think the white man's religion and, all that other shit, like, I get it. But that's not what we on right now. So hold on. I'm tripping. I skipped a lot of pages. Okay, where we at with it? I'll be in the archives, G. I hope y'all see. If I was y'all, I would have been sniping sources like, yo, where this nigga be getting these books from? All of that. Hopefully y'all doing that. But what we got? Where's the title? I want to give y'all the title of it. I mean, here we go. A Treatise on Domestic Education by Reverend Daniel A. Payne. I don't know what those initials mean. If you guys know what they mean, drop it in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of the comments, let's check the chat. Let's see what the chat talking about. All right. Uh-oh. George Osei says community can be family, though. Yeah. Community should be family. Community is family. Family is community. I get what you're saying, because there may be, some terrible families out there. So I get what you mean. However, we talking about ancestrally and stuff like that. People didn't really run like that by and large, in general. But you are absolutely right. And I'll tell y'all that, just with that little caveat, if you do have a toxic family, if you do not have, wholesome or loving immediate family members, because I know that's a reality out there. I understand. You dig? But you still owe it to yourself to find community with people who actually will respect you for who you are. That's still your responsibility. It's not your fault that your family is the way it is, but it is your responsibility. Understand that, the difference between fault and responsibility. Is it your fault you were born into, I'm just speaking to the people that this is, applying to. Is it your fault that you were born into a family that didn't love you properly, or didn't support you, or didn't, raise you in a way that you felt love? No, it's not your fault. Is it your responsibility to be able to seek out and know what that love actually looks and feels like for yourself? Yes. Absolutely your responsibility. So I don't blame you for anything, but I do charge you with the responsibility of finding community with people who actually appreciate you for who you are. All right. Declassified FBI says Hotep to the Hoteps. You already know what's going on. Declassified. Kentucky Ike, Hotep, what's going on? George says Doe spitting for sure. That's what I do. We already almost 2 hours in and I didn't even feel it. You know what I mean? Kentucky Ike's wife. Shout out to, look at that. Kentucky and his wife in the chat. What's going on, Mrs. Kentucky? What's going on? Hotep. What else we got? In the chat? Cliff, what's going on, baby? What's going on, Cliff? Let us know what you built recently, fam. Did you share it on the Instagram? We got to see what you built recently, man. My man Cliff, he architect extraordinaire in the chat. Cliff says, the liquor always screwing stuff up. Man, tell me about it. Did anybody, nobody hit me up in the Twitter chat, but shout out to everybody that's watching on Twitter. Shout out to y'all, man. It took me a few weeks, but we here. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I got a new light bulb in here. It's a lot brighter. You feel me? Take a sip of water. So, if you haven't subscribed to the Patreon, you should right now. Patreon.com/Hotep History. I came back from the Library of Congress and I just dropped a 20-minute video of my trip, and that was just an overview. We're going to get into more detail. I'm going to have even more videos about my trip to the Library of Congress. So we got a bunch of exclusive content on Patreon. So make sure you're subscribing to the Patreon. Make sure you're retweeting this. Make sure you're reposting this. Make sure you're letting everybody that you know and everybody that you care about that I do what I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. every week. So make sure you're subscribing to the Patreon. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube and Kick. I'm pretty sure that y'all noticed some ads, huh? If you've been watching on YouTube for some time, I'm pretty sure you noticed that the nigga got ads now. Okay? Yeah, that means, you know what the ads mean. So make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok and on Twitter. Daily content on there, dropping clips. I tapped in with my brother Rashad early today. We got some brainstorming to do. Shout out to my brother Rashad. Fist in the air. When my man Rashad say fist in the air. Fist in the air for my brother Rashad. So, now that we got that commercial out the way. Oh, not done. Tomorrow at 12 p.m., Saturday, 12 p.m., we have the Hotep History podcast. Okay, starring your boy, the host with the most, President Hotep Dubes, and my co-host, my brother Hotep Mac. We have a special guest, my brother Mosh Teray, because tomorrow's episode is all about shitting all over gun control laws. We shitting all over it. So all you people that are anti-gun, all you people that think, common sense gun laws are going to have any type of fucking affecting solutions in America, tap your ass in to the space tomorrow at 12 p.m. Twitter Spaces at 12 p.m. Okay? As soon as it's done, however, it will live on Patreon. As a matter of fact, I might fuck around and stream from Patreon. So you'll be able to see all of this plus the spaces streamed. How about that? Huh? How about them apples? Okay? So make sure you're following me on Twitter. Got your notifications on Twitter. Make sure you're subscribing to the Patreon. We got a whole bunch of stuff that we doing every week, all week. And you need to be there. You need to learn this stuff. Be honest. Did you ever read these books? Did you ever hear about Francis before I put you onto her? Did you hear about the etiquette book before I put you onto it? Like, come on. You ain't getting this anywhere else, Chief. You might as well subscribe. You might as well sign up for the Patreon, dog. Like, it only makes sense. You're getting that and more. Exclusive shit. You know what I mean? Fuck with me. So, a treatise on domestic education by Reverend Daniel A. Payne. Okay? Senior Bishop of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. All right? 1889. This one goes back a little ways. Okay? Copyrighted his own shit. That's what I'm talking about. It says the dedicatory? I've never seen a dedication like referred to that. Anyway, to the thoughtful fathers and the anxious mothers of every race, in this little volume, respectfully and lovingly dedicated by the author. So letting you know off the rip, this is to the parents. This is to the parents. Now, I'll tell y'all this, little fun story about this shit, a little short shit. I was looking for Black American primary sources about homeschooling, right? So I'm looking, and I happened upon this book. This book been in my digital library for about 7, 8 months. Yeah, like top of the year. I learned about this, and I seen the title. It was a treatise on domestic education. That's what I'm thinking. I think this book is about homeschooling. No. And so we're gonna learn about what this book is about. We don't have to read the preface, but we'll read a little bit of it. Without apology, I send forth my thoughts on the great absorbing question of Christian education in its domestic form. In this, I do with no desire to appear as a literary man, painting for literary fame, but because it is a duty laid upon my heart in inspiring all my thoughts from early manhood to old age. See, this is where it got me. It says, my book is not designed for instruction in common school, nor the high school, nor the college, but for the home. Not for the recitation room, but for the nursery and the fireside. I was like, oh, so this not even got nothing to do with like homeschooling. The duty which impels my hand to write this book and the love which inspires its sentiments is a duty and a love resulting from actual labors in the schoolhouse and intensified by close and extensive observations in the families among whom it has been my high privilege to sojourn, both in my native land and in foreign countries. As for the thoughts, the sentiments, and the principles embodied in it, they have been formulating themselves for about 55 years. Okay? Moreover, as Christianity is given, not for the benefit of any particular race, but to confer infinite blessings upon all mankind, so also Christian education is divinely designed not to confer exclusive privileges upon any chosen people, but to enlighten, improve, and develop into perfection humanity as a whole unbroken unit. Consequently, to develop into the highest possible human perfection every child of Adam. To this divine end, ordained by the omniscient Father of humanity before the foundation of the world, my humble volume is wholly consecrated. To this glorious end, I beseech our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to command his benedictions upon the efforts of the author. Amen. All right, so let's look at the table of contents, shall we? We got the introduction, chapter 1, the training of children. This is for you, parents. This is for you, parents. Yeah, you didn't know you was going to church tonight. You didn't know you was going to church tonight, but it's all good. You in church tonight, beloved. Yep. Pastor Doe Doobs. Pastor Hotep. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here. So the training of children, page 15. Now, page 15 is obviously not actually page page 15 because we already on page 11, but it does have the P7 here. So let's just scroll on down. We're gonna take it one page at a time. I think the preface was good. We don't have to get into the introductory stuff. But what does this last one say? It is a crime for parents to allow their children to go from the fireside to the cold world with bad habits and wicked propensities. With the best preparation possible, life is a bitter struggle against temptation and vice, and early religious training and Christian character furnish the only safeguards against the perils to which the young are exposed. So that was an introduction by R.S. Rust. Okay. I was cool with that last sentence. We can get into this. There we go. Chapter 1. All right, let's do it. Chapter 1, the training of children. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. See, a lot of y'all niggas be saying that in jest, but that was real talk. That was real talk. Can we full screen this? There we go. There we go. Let me double check, make sure I'm still coming in clear. Make sure I'm still coming in clear. All right. All right. So, God is the creator of the universe. As such, he has original and divine right to make laws for the government of its different departments, physical and mental. But in the exercise of this divine right, he does not act like a despotic monarch whose absolute will is law for all his subjects, whose animus is supreme selfishness, manifesting itself by brute force, violence, robbery, war, and murder. No! The animus of God's right is infinite love, directed by unerring wisdom and unutterable goodness. Hence, his physical and mental laws were never an outburst of blind passion, nor supreme selfishness. In the material and immaterial world, every one of his laws is designed to produce well-being to the sentient subjects of his government, small and great, weak and strong. Hence, it is absurd for erring man to question the fitness and goodness of his moral laws, as it is to dispute the practicality or practicability, wisdom, and efficiency of the physical. Among the principles, laws, and statutes which he has given to govern the reign of the mind, he has given to society the mandate of the beautiful passage of holy scriptures, which is taken from the inspired pen of the wisest men. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. The doctrine taught in this divine statement is disputed on the ground of its supposed impracticality. Okay, he got the ability in there, impracticability, whatever. The objections may be reduced to the following propositions. A child, that is, every child, is born in a populated atmosphere in which he must always live, breathing in immoral air. He is necessarily polluted by it. B, all his associates at home are corrupted by sin. Therefore, he must be as bad as they, because association begets assimilation. C, the boys and girls with whom he must play away from home, whether in the street or in the campus, or by whom he sits in the schoolroom, are wicked, and therefore he cannot be better than they. D, therefore, they say, quote, the doctrine of the text cannot be realized till the millennium shall burst upon the world, and everybody shall become good. Wow. How ridiculous is that? That basically, until the world is perfect, you can't be Christ-like, or you can't move in with God first and all this other stuff, which is ridiculous. These four objections come from two classes of people. First, from members of the Christian church who profess to believe in the Bible, and second, from persons outside that church who have no faith in it and who live in open violation of its just and holy requirements. We now give our reply to these objections by saying, 1, the creator who has given the command is the omniscient maker of every child. Consequently, he knows all its capabilities, probabilities, and possibilities. Second, he knows every temptation to which a child can be exposed from the cradle to the grave. He knows the strength of every temptation and the conditions under which everyone can appear. He also knows the capacity of every child to take in evil and the ability to repel it. Third, He knows every bad boy or girl who may endeavor to influence a child in a wrong direction. Also, every bad man and woman who can and will offer inducements to a child to do evil. And yet, this very omniscient creator commands us to, quote, train up a child in the way he should go. Now, inasmuch as he never commands anyone to perform an impossible thing, we fully believe that a child can be trained in the way he should go. Will any sane father command his child to carry a weight which he knows the boy cannot lift from the ground? Is God less reasonable than a man? Whenever he commands a duty to be performed, he also imparts the strength and the power for its accomplishment. Talk to him. Talk to him, Rev. Man may require, and often does demand, that which is both unreasonable and impossible. But God never did and never can do this. Therefore, we once more affirm a child can be trained in the way he should go. Moreover, if we consider the latter part of this divine statement as a promise, then we say that God will make it good. Quote, lift up thy rod and stretch out thy hand over the sea and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. Such was God's commands to Moses. The unbeliever standing by and hearing this divine mandate would have cried out, impossible. That can't be done. Who can divide that sea and lead these millions through on dry ground? But Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind and all night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided, and the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them, on their right hand and on their left. Come on now. When God commands, let man obey. Then if the difficulties in the way be human, he shall have power to overcome them. But if they be superhuman, the omnipotent God who gave the command will remove every obstruction out his path, and the thing to be done shall be accomplished. Why? Because he never breaks a promise. No, never. But if we consider this latter statement as a prediction, then God will certainly fulfill his own prophecy. With him, the present, the past, and the future are alike. Therefore, he knows what he can be, what may be, what will be, and what must be certainly, as he knows what has been and what is now. A man may guess, but God never does. What? Bring that back. A man may guess, but God never does. The best man may lie, but God cannot. With the command, he gives the power to obey and to execute. With the promise or the prediction goes to the omnipotence to fulfill. We are now prepared to consider the meaning in the compass of this divine statement. And when we remember that a child by direct or indirect training may become a, quote, fool, a devil, or an angel, the meaning in the compass of the divine command cannot be too carefully considered and too minutely analyzed. Are y'all feeling me here? Are y'all digging me? Am I getting too churchy on y'all? You feel me? You feel me, who? Come on now. Was it, okay. We gotta get to actual parenting, because he's just preaching at this point. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to give y'all that. Yo, shout out to Who for the $5 super chat. She says, Pastor collection plate, Pastor. I had to give it to her one time. Hold on. Oh, man. All right. Come on. Let's focus. Let me take a sip of water. I told y'all we was getting to it tonight. It's not even the last book. We got another book to go. We're going to read a couple of these passages here, though. Reverend Payne was talking. The first condition of successful child training. Let's get into it. Children spend their infancy under very different circumstances. Some have their mothers snatched away from them by the hand of death a few hours after their birth. Others are made fatherless within 1 or 2 years after. In some cases, others are deprived of both parents while they are yet unable to wash their faces, comb their hair, or dress themselves, and thus are made orphans in early life. Some are born of rich parents and therefore are surrounded by everything that can minister to their comfort. Others enter this world in the abodes of squalid poverty. Some become orphans as soon as they have reached childhood, while others are made so amid the waywardness of reckless youth. But in every instance, God provides for their training. Sometimes an aunt, a grand aunt, or an uncle, or a grand uncle, or a grandmother, or a grandfather takes the place of their parents. Sometimes a friendly neighbor or an absolute stranger is moved to become a foster mother or foster father. Now, we learned that with Frances. Okay? Her father died. He more than likely died in the war. Okay? And her grandfather raised her. I'm more than sure that we know people who were raised by their grannies. A lot of the millennial generation was raised by their grannies because our parents, the Gen X, they was outside moving and shaking during the 90s. They couldn't be bothered, a lot of them. Let's just be honest. You feel me? Let's just be honest. They couldn't be bothered. But it's all good because granny was there. Auntie was there. Uncle was there. I love my father. Me and him have a great relationship. But my uncle was the one that stood in the gap for him when he had to go away. You feel me? He's the one who raised me. Hev and all of the other men that I tell y'all about on the stream, these are the guys who raised me. You feel me? But let me not get off track too much. But anyway, such persons are guardians, but they are held to the responsibility of parents by that God who has promised to be a father to the fatherless and the orphan children. Whether they be parents or guardians, the first condition of success. Let's start that over. Whether they be parents or guardians, the first condition of successful training is unity. Is unity. Did you hear me? Is unity in respect to the order, law, and government of the household. You hear me? Let's wheel that back. Whether they be parents or guardians, the first condition of successful training is unity in respect to the order, law, and government of the household. Can I get an amen? There must be unity on the part of the parents or guardian of a child. There must be no dissension, no antagonism between them. For if such a thing as disagreement or antagonism exists in the family, no child can be trained under the ideas, principles, and sentiments involved in the divine command. Listen to me, parents. That's the reason why your baby is able to play you against your wife, play you against your husband. Because y'all not unified. Y'all not a unified front. One spoils, one is strict. One this, one that. Nah, nigga, when it comes down to interfacing with that baby, she is you, you are her. Same. Ask your father. Okay. Ask the father. Father say no. Okay. That's just what it is. You go back to the mom. Goes back to the mom. Can I go? What your father say? No. Then it's no. That's how that goes. Okay? That command is not superficial, but is as deep as the very essence of the complex and immortal nature of a child. Yo, he is cooking. He is cooking. Do you not hear what he's saying? His body, his soul, and his spirit are all comprehended in it. It holds within its grasp all of the present and all of the future in the character, in the history of the young heir of the crown of life. What? I'm gonna wheel that back just because I can read that better. It holds within its grasp all of the present and all of the future in the character and history of the young heir of the crown of life. Therefore, there must be an unbroken oneness in its training. An unbroken oneness. Period. You are one. You are one. You're not two, you're one. Here, in this thing, no mother, nor father, nor grandmother, nor grandfather, nor aunt, nor uncle can be allowed to intermeddle. No brother nor sister can be suffered to interfere. No, not for a moment. I am in earnest. I plead for the children as one pleadeth for his firstborn, or as one pleadeth for his own life, or as one pleadeth for his only child. The family is a miniature church with its priests and priestess to train it for the work of Christian life, for its conflicts and its victories. It is also a miniature state with its laws, order, and government. So even if you're not digging the churchy side of this, which is your right, what about the laws and the order and the government of your household? What about that? How you gonna lead? What kind of president you gonna be? What kind of dictator you gonna be? So even if you ain't with all of the religious talk, still, these lessons still apply. You ain't know Hotep was about to take your ass to church tonight, did you? You ain't know that. You ain't know that was about to happen. But it's all good. You here now. You here now. We say it once more and say it with all of the emphasis that time and eternity can give. In the family government, no difference of opinion should exist. No antagonism be allowed. One spirit ought to animate the parents or guardians. One law govern them and bind them into one as with fetters of steel that can never be broken. Because if the wife antagonized the husband in the government of the family, defeat is as certain as death itself. Lord, I didn't know this was going to happen tonight, y'all. I didn't know this was going to happen tonight. Well, we here now. Because if the wife antagonized the husband in the government of the family, defeat is as certain as death itself. That's what Reverend Payne said. Were it possible for all the archangels to come from heaven and legislate for the family or the household, should the mother antagonize the father, no great woman nor great man could issue from it. Of course, I use the word great in its highest sense, not the physical, nor the intellectual, nor the artistic, nor the military, nor the financial, nor the political, but the moral and the spiritual. Okay? Which is the highest because it is the essential and the immortal, the only form of greatness which makes us acceptable to him who is the Lord of lords and the kings of kings. It is, therefore, the only greatness that exalts in an individual to the society of heaven and crowns him with eternal life. I hope y'all hearing me tonight. I truly hope y'all hearing me tonight. I truly do. But a greater than the archangels has legislated for the family and the household. It is the infinite legislator. That legislation is expressed in the text which we are unfolding, in which is illustrated and confirmed by many a parallel statement of the inspired scriptures and by the indisputable biography of great men. And yet, the overwhelming majority of families will not heed it. Therefore, the overwhelming majority of children have never been trained in the way they should go. And therefore, even where many have succeeded as politicians, financiers, professional, or other businessmen, their lives have been moral failures. I just want to reiterate that this book was written in 1889. 1889, 100 years before I even blessed this earth with my presence. And I'm 35. You feel me? We're talking a 135-year-old book. 135-year-old book. How they talking? Look how the ancestors is talking. You know, the white man's religion. Yeah, fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about, nigga. Anyway, where we was at? Because if the mother think the government of the father is too rigid, I'm going to say that one more time. Because if the mother think the government of the father is too rigid in his absence, when he's busy making bread and butter for his family, she will loosen the reins and let the boy or the girl trample law, order, and government under the feet. One more time for the people in the back. Because if the mother think the government of the father is too rigid in his absence, When he is busy making bread and butter for his family, she will loosen the reins and let the boy or the girl trample law, order, and government under the feet. This is not the only evil. What is worse, the spoiled child, seeing the mother opposed to her husband, takes sides with her and regards the father as an enemy. What is worse, the spoiled child, seeing the mother opposed to her husband, taking sides with her and regards the father as an enemy. Come on now. We gonna act like that don't exist? We about to act like that don't exist? This is, again, written 1889. 1889 this was written. Let's finish out this chapter. Okay? Unity, therefore unbroken, uniform, perpetual unity of the father and the mother, of the wife and the husband, is an essential condition of successful child training. I'll say that one last time. Unity, therefore unbroken, uniform, perpetual unity of the father and the mother, of the wife and the husband, is an essential condition of successful child training. This is what the ancestors were on. And while you may not like the Christian overtones, we can't even say undertones, the Christian overtones of Reverend Payne, you're not dumb. You heard what he said. You heard the principles. You heard that Black American ethos in there. You heard the morals. You heard those values. You heard those beliefs. You're not dumb. You know exactly what the ancestors getting at. So even if you're not Christian, you may be Muslim, you may be atheist, you may be whatever you are. You heard exactly what the ancestors were saying. Unity. Unity. So if you don't read nothing else but the last paragraph of this chapter, unity is an essential condition. Unity between man and woman. Essential condition of successful child training. Period. This is the reason why I don't get into them fuck ass gender wars y'all get into. I don't give a fuck about the gender wars, because at the end of the day, if we actually want to live on this fucking planet, if we actually want to survive on this planet, both of you motherfuckers got to get with it. Both of you motherfuckers have to return to what the ancestors have been saying about family for centuries, nigga. So yeah, get your little shit off, okay? Get your third wave feminism on. Get your cosplaying as Kevin Samuels on. But at the end of the day, you will perish without a woman, and you will perish without a man, period. And if you come together with a man or a woman and you do not unify, your children will perish. One of the worst things that happen to Black America is the single mother households. One of the worst things. Men being extracted, walking out, however you want to frame it, taking out the household was damn near a death knell to Black Americans. Because as you saw, the ancestors will go into the paper and find you. They will literally search all of Earth, all of the country to find you if you were separated by somebody else, by an external party. But it wasn't until incentivized, breaking up the family that this even became as hard as it was, because enslaved people, former enslaved people, will put out ads. Hey, you see my moms? Yo, you see my bro? Did you see my brother? Did you see my sister? Did you see my aunt? Did you see my uncle? Did you see my grandpa? Did you see them? I wrote in the paper, like, listen, respond to this if you've seen them. I need to get back with them. It was magnetism that we were dealing with. Bloodline, blood magnetism, drawing ourselves to our people. Above all else, we needed to be together. At the very least, we needed to be together. So if former slaves went out of their way, and they're separated by hundreds of miles, to be like, yo, I need to know where my wife is. I need to know where my mother is. I need to know where my father is. You will see how important this is to the ancestors, how extremely important family is. And the first condition to raising a child correctly is unity between mother and father, husband and wife. Before we get anywhere, before we even deal with the child, before we even look or deal with the child, mother and father, husband and wife got to come together. They got to be unified. They have to literally become one. That if you're talking to one, you're talking to the other one. Period. That's the rule. That's the requirement. Point blank, period. Let's go to condition number 2. Second condition of successful child training. Let's see. Just as the family is the original fountain of the state and also its original nursery, so also is it the original fountain and nursery of the church of the living God. Herein, the child must be trained for usefulness, both in the church and the state. Hence, there must be a church within the family and an altar at its fireside. The family church must have its laws, its order, and its government, which must be well considered before they be adopted, but when once adopted, they ought to be enforced conscientiously and daily. There are those who attend the public sanctuary of the Lord as regularly as the earth revolves around its axis. They join the congregation of the saints and to sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, to make prayers and supplications, to hear the gospel of salvation preached, so as to develop their intellectual, moral, and spiritual nature, and by doing so, worship, quote, the unknown God. But when they leave the house of worship, they leave their God behind them. And when they arrive at home, they have no church there, no altar there, no God there. In such families, no child can be trained as God would have him be trained. Indeed, the majority of parents think not of the will of the Almighty Father in the training of a child. Listen, I know about it. I know all too well, and I ain't gonna judge y'all, because listen, I ain't the most staunch Christian. I ain't my man Bryson Gray. That's a Bible thumping black man right there. He stand on Christian business all day long. But you know what he's referring to here. And one of the things that I like is that his notations, he goes and explains further. We don't have to get into those. Again, please download these books for yourselves. I hope you guys are downloading these books for yourselves. These are primary sources. Okay? Their minds seem to be filled with every other thought but that. Hence, in the training of children, the greatest number of parents and guardians conform entirely to the sentiments and customs of the world. See, I heard that growing up. Be in the world, but not of the world. I heard that growing up in the church all the time. What the world thinks about a child, what amount of freedom a child shall have, what amount of indulgence, how much it shall eat, how much when it shall eat, what it shall eat, where it shall go, when shall it go, when it shall go, and go with whom, when it shall play, where it shall play, and with whom, how it shall be dressed, what it shall wear, and how appear are the only questions which interest them and which they are ready to answer. So y'all, you get what he's saying, right? It's all about the superficial shit. What you gonna eat, what you gonna dress, where you gonna go. Like, all of that's cool, but what about his soul? Let's get into it. Now, therefore, because the church is excluded from the household, the God and the head of it is also excluded. Only admit the church and God will so impress his thoughts and his will upon the mind of parents and guardians as to make them antagonize the world in the management of their own children, physically, intellectually, and morally, as to induce them to make earnest inquiries of himself concerning the end for which a child is sent into this world, and the best means for attaining that end. So again, not keeping God first and only worried about the world. Okay? And When there is an acknowledged church within the family, if it be asked how shall the daily worship be conducted, I make the following suggestions. First, let every child, servant, and sojourner within the homestead be assembled early in the morning and early in the evening around the domestic altar. There is to listen to the word of God. There to listen to the word of God. Oh, Jesus. Which ought to be read alternately by the father and the mother and the other members of the household, reading responsively with the one who leads the service. Thus, every member of the family would actively participate in the worship. Permit me now to give some reasons why this reading of God's word should form part of the daily worship. So, yeah, it's dope that you go to church every Sunday, every Wednesday, every Friday, and all of that other stuff. It's dope. But do you live it? Do you worship in the crib? And again, I don't want you guys to get lost in the religion of this. I want you actually to be able to extrapolate the actual lessons that's being taught here. So even if you're not a staunch Christian or anything like that, understand it's talking about consistency. That, yo, you can do work. You go to work. This is the same thing about locking in, right? We was just talking about Mrs. Ethel Williams, right? So you go to work and you lock in for your boss and all of that. And at your job, you a good worker, but when you get home, you lazy. You don't bring that work ethic home. You super nice and kind when you out in the world, but then you grumpy and mean when you in the crib. You don't bring that kindness to the crib. So I don't want y'all to get lost in the religious talk. And I'm gonna make sure that I reel y'all back in if you think that it's getting too, churchy or whatever it is. Because listen, these are real gems here. And the babies are at stake. Okay? I was just yelling at Rashad on his space earlier today that the babies are not reading at grade level. So while you can, not Rashad, but while, these parents and stuff like that can hoot and holler on TikTok, make dancing videos and do all types of fuck shit, the babies are suffering because of it. Because while you're telling the social media sphere how much you love your kid when you in the crib, do you really want your son and daughter to be able to read, or is that some shit you just saying online? Do you actively read to them? Do you actively do the things that you say in your home? And that goes triple and quadruple for you niggas that be wanting to change the world. Do you actually live all of the things that you say that you want people to do? Do you actually live the advice that you give people? That's one of the things that's so fucking weird. There's niggas that be giving the best advice in the world but don't take it. They don't be taking their own advice. Bug the fuck out. Bug the fuck out. Bug the fuck out. But anyway, let's go. A, because the Holy Scriptures are God's own voice, teaching us what we ought to know, to do, and to suffer for his sake in order that we might be intelligent in the highest sense, pure in a moral sense, and really Christian in a spiritual sense. And by this means we become wise, blessed, and useful in our day and generation. B, because there is no condition, position, or office common to civilized man, okay, but what these scriptures can enlighten and sanctify. Because there is no moral nor religious doubt in our minds, but what these scriptures can remove if we will but listen to their voice and heed their teachings. Okay? So, again, living what you're doing. I just tweeted this today. Don't practice what you preach. Preach what you practice. Talk about do the things that you are supposed to do and then talk about it. You dig? D, because when their teachings are understood and heeded daily, uniformly, perpetually regarded and obeyed, they impart to the soul a moral and spiritual strength and power which gives us victory over ourselves and consequently victory over the world. I don't know how y'all don't be inspired. I am so flabbergasted. And when motherfuckers get to talking about the ancestors and shit like that, we not our ancestors, all of that bullshit, I don't get How that shit don't hit you somewhere in your body, that you didn't get goosebumps a little bit from that shit. And power which gives us victory over ourselves and consequently victory over the world. That's for all you white supremacy Negroes. Yeah. That's for all you scared Negroes. All you scared to death Negroes. All right. Damn, it's 10:30 already. Yo, that's so crazy, son. Time be flying when you reading. Time be flying when you reading, beloved. I'm trying to tell you something. Oh man. We might have to push it to 11, beloved. I ain't gonna hold you. So we're not gonna read every reason because he's going in. Oh man. Yeah, he's still listing the reasons. Oh man. The great king of Israel, the warrior who never lost a battle, that musical king whose melodious harp and voice did cast out evil spirits. The poetical king whose songs and hymns and odes were inspired by the breath of heaven, experienced the truth we have uttered when he said, "Thou shalt increase my greatness and comfort me on every side. I also will praise thee with psaltery, even thy truth, O my God. I will praise thee with the harp, O thou Holy One of Israel. My lips shall greatly rejoice when I sing unto thee, and my soul which thou hast redeemed." Okay? Giving us songs and stuff like that. Like he's giving us lesson 2 or second condition is super deep with the lore. Hold on now. You guys can read all of these hymns and stuff like that on your own time. We got to get back to the main lesson here. All right, let's see. This element of the family worship is commanded. The Son of God has said, quote, "Ask and it shall be given to you." Or ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened upon to you. Or unto you, shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh, receiveth. And he that seeketh, findeth. And to him that knocketh, it shall be opened. Or what man is there of whom, if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Wait. Or what man is there of whom, if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father, which is in heaven, give good things to them that ask him? God has not only commanded us to pray, he has also given us the form of prayer in order that we may always pray aright and thus secure for ourselves and our children independence, the quote, good things necessary for our bodies, souls, and spirits. Bread and butter, raiment and shelter, intellect and heart, will and power are among the good things which every family need, and which God is ready, able, and willing to bestow upon every family of every race and every age who call upon him in sincerity and in truth. Every family and every individual of every family needs every one of these good things, needs them every day, and some of them every hour of every day. Now, who can supply these varied endless wants but, quote, our Father who is in heaven? He is the inexhaustible fountain of all good things and of all blessings for time and for eternity. Let's get to the third condition. The third condition of the successful training of children is private prayer. Shut up in the closet or some chosen secluded spot where no eye can see, nor ear hear us, but the eyes and ears of the omnipresent God, creator and father of humanity. The mother, like Hannah, ought to pray for her child before it is conceived or born. The father should do likewise, for the earnest, agonizing prayer of the faithful can never fail. God will hear such a prayer as he heard Hannah's, and will answer such a prayer as he answered Hannah's. As the faithful Abraham supplicated for his children in his household, as Job did continually for his family, so also must the Christian father pray for the child and the household which God has placed under his care. Morning, noon, and night should be the witnesses of his prayer, supplications, and intercessions for every child which God has given him. And if there be more than one child in the family or in the household, each child should be named and prayed for separately according to the distinctive manifest tendency and disposition of each. For the disposition of children varies as their faces vary, and their tendencies differ as their gait varies. Read the prophetic blessings of Jacob as given us in Genesis. I have no idea what chapter that is. 1 through 29, and you will see that his predictions were based upon their known dispositions and tendencies. When we also remember that there is more than poetry in the line of Wordsworth, quote, "The boy is father of the man." We ought to suit our prayers in the closet to the natural disposition and tendencies of each child. This remark leads us to recognize the truth that while the closet prayer ought to be particular, the prayer at the family altar must almost always assume a general form. So listen, again, because I got to help you navigate through this if you're not Christian or if you don't believe in this. What it's saying here is that your intentions, okay, have to be specific for each child. Your deliberations, how deliberate you are for your babies, it has to be varied from kid to kid. Your daughter may not have the same disposition and tendencies as your sons. And you need to be able to customize each one of your virtues or each one of the lessons that you teach for each kid. So again, I don't want to lose y'all. I don't want y'all to get lost thinking that y'all can't really follow this, because you can. You absolutely can. Okay? Will God hear these closet prayers? Yes. Every child was originally made in the image of God. I just told Rashad this. I just told him this. Yes. Every child was originally made in the image of God and after his likeness, which, according to the teachings of St. Paul, consists in knowledge, righteousness, and true holiness. It is the will of God that every child shall be renewed in these divine elements. Therefore, to pray that God, through his word and his spirit, should renew our children in his image and after his likeness. While they are yet children, is to pray in perfect harmony with the will of God. That we should endeavor to make our children good as well as intelligent, and intelligent as well as good is as manifestly the dictate of nature as it is of revelation. So not only are they good morals, they're intelligent. What did I tell y'all? Your mind, body, and your soul. Your mind, body, and spirit. That's what he's saying here. It's not enough to just be good and not intelligent. And it's not enough to just be intelligent and not good. That's what he's saying. That this is a duty taught emphatically in the Old Testament. No one who reads it will doubt that it is clearly and repeatedly inculcated in the New is equally certain. Therefore, to pray that God may aid us in the discharge of the duties commanded is one of the best means of securing that aid. We conclude, therefore, that secret, earnest, faithful prayers in behalf of a child is a third condition of successful child training. For all our girls and boys, our earnest daily prayer should be green as the firs, mist, ice, and snow, mist, spring, and summer's blight, and all the graces let them grow, symmetrical and bright. Come on. All right? So private prayer is number 3. Like I said, he has a lot. Like you could tell he a reverend. He got me sounding like a preacher. So that's the third one. Private prayer for each child. Being intentional with each child. That's what that's about. Let me check the chat. Let's see. Cliff says, amen. Sammy says, seen this done in practice growing up, but never seen it systematically written out like this. Hotep to the room. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't believe it's already 10:30, y'all. Y'all let me yap. That's just I'll be on this joint yapping, you hear me? I'll be on this joint yapping. Let's see. The fourth condition of successful child training. The fourth condition of successful child training is the self-culture of the parents. Ooh. Uh-oh. Quote, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise. In this divine statement, we have given unto us the law of association and assimilation. Uh-oh. He about to wake it up. In common parlance, we say like begets like. We also say the fruit is like the tree. The flowing stream is like the fountain in color and in taste. Therefore, we do not expect the children to rise above the grade of their parentage. But we can make we can make exceptions to this rule by changing the circumstances which surround them, and thus change their condition and elevate them above their parentage. Come on now. We have seen such changes made in African boys at Lincoln University and in Indian boys and girls at Hampton, Virginia. I have seen changes in the outlines of their heads, in the contours of their faces, in the expressions of their eyes, in their general manners, opinions, sentiments, and pursuits. All these changes can be effected, quote, only by separation from their parents and their heathen and barbarous surroundings. Such changes can be effected in the physical and mental condition of any barbarous family, and if so, on any ignorant and rude ones. But the separation of the child from its mother in order that it may be rightly trained seems to be unnatural, and children from their parents abnormal. Because the demand of nature is that the parents be the first educators of their children. Because the demand of nature is that the parents be the first educators of their children. Hence, the wisdom of the thought of the vignette. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's French for the same thing that I just said. The necessity of educating the educators. Now, man was made for knowledge and therefore education. He was made to know one object from another in order that he might not confound the differences and distinctions which separate them, nor the resemblances which classify them. Thus, he was made to know the difference between a cow and a buffalo, between a sheep and a goat, between the horse and the mule. So, also, man was made to know the difference between the true and the false, the fit and the unfit, the proper and the improper, the right and the wrong, the good and the evil, even when there is the closest resemblance between them. Rising still higher in the region of mind, man was made to know the difference between religion and superstition, to know the Christian religion from the superstitions which resembles it, to discern to merely human from the divine spirit, the indifferent from the essential, to know God as the cherubim and the seraphim to know God as the cherubim and the seraphim know him, to know him as angels and archangels know him, in order that he may love and worship as these heavenly beings love and worship in sincerity, in spirit, and in truth. Jesus. The only worship which is acceptable to him who sees not as man sees, and with whom things highly esteemed among men are an abomination in his sight. The where and the when, the what and the how are also very important for man to know, and God made him to know them. But what is knowledge without divine holiness and divine love? Devils are intelligent. They know tens of thousands. They know 10,000 things of which man is ignorant and may remain forever ignorant. But they are not holy, neither can they love as God loves, nor hate as he hates. For what God loves, they hate, and for what he hates, they love. Didn't Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty say, I don't care about your booze because I see the things you cheer on? Yeah, that's what they talking about here. God made you to understand the differences between shit, despite them looking just alike. God made you able to see the differences in things, despite them looking just alike. So this is the shit I be trying to tell y'all. When it comes down to the problem, the solution being born at the same time as the problem. They twins. They was born at the same time. You just need to know the difference. You need to be able to know the difference. That's word to God and that's word to the ancestors. You have to get you some discernment. The ancestors, they say God. If you have another conduit, if you have another way of being able to make that happen for yourself, by all means. But hopefully you're able to discern things and see the differences in them, despite them resembling each other. Because devils are intelligent. They know a whole bunch of shit. They know a whole bunch of shit that you may never know. You may be thinking you getting educated by a righteous person. You getting educated by a demon. You getting educated by the devil. So when motherfuckers get to telling you about Pierre Neptune being the real founder of Hennessy, when they start to tell you that the slaves left fried cornmeal, literal breadcrumbs to hush the puppies, and that's where hush puppies come from. When they get to telling you that the ancestors braided maps in your motherfucking hair, and there's no proof of that outside of a 2003 dissertation from Bogota University. So even if it was true, it ain't true for your black American ass. Shit, show me a picture on a plantation with braids. I'm not talking about the big. I'm talking about like intricate cornrows on the plantation. Show me that shit. I'd love to see it. Not fully denying that it existed, but I haven't seen them. So yeah, you need to be able to know the difference between what your ancestors actually said and what these motherfuckers telling you that they said. Because it looks the same. It resembles each other. They use the same black and white pictures that I use. All of that shit. I'm not sitting there saying that I'm God and they the devil, but I'm talking about being able to know the difference despite the resemblance. We may resemble, but we are not the same at all. You know, I push black American ancestral ethos, nigga. It's different over here. You're not going to hear all of that humdrum, woe is me shit. You're not going to hear that over here. You're going to hear directly from the ancestors. I want y'all to know I did not write this book. This book was written 100 years before I was born. 100 years. We talking almost 140 years ago this book was written. And you can't tell me this shit don't resonate today. At all. You can't tell me that this shit don't resonate today. So, where we at? But God made man to love as well as to know, to suffer as well as to do. He made man to love as he loves, only the pure, the true, and the good. As he made man to love these, so also he made man to hate their opposites. Now divine love purifies the soul because it's the opposite of the vile thing which is named lust. Love repels it and casts it out of the heart if it steals an entrance. If it steals an entrance there but for a moment. Love exalts a man into the favor of him who is the fountain of love and makes him godlike. The man who loves God is the man who delights greatly in his commandments, and by this very delight obeys all the commandments always. These two things, love and obedience, keep the individual at one with Christ and with God. So let's keep it moving. Let's see. Uh-oh, he yelling. I want to see what he's yelling about. Now, if this kind of self-culture leads us out of ourselves to bless the most remote and the most abandoned, what will it not lead us to do for our own child? What will it not leave for us to plan and to execute for the well-being of the children whom God has committed to our immediate care? If parents thus cultivated will care for strangers, will they neglect their own offspring? If they will give and do and suffer to recreate the heathen, will they suffer their own offspring to grow up in ignorance or vice and crime? Impossible. Within large hearts and the highest conceptions of their duty to their God, their own children, and their own country, they will diligently labor to make every child intelligent, holy, and useful to God and to man. Hence, they will not only instruct their children, they will also guard them against evil companions and evil influences of every kind. So, we got to, make this more concise. So, will the intelligent, faithful Christian parent and guardian take their children, teach them, pray for them, pray over them, guide them into the path of knowledge and holiness and righteousness till they have moral strength and power to accept the divine challenge of, quote, who will rise up for me against the evildoers, or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? These four conditions fulfilled, I believe a child can be successfully trained in the way he should go, for they will place the family in peculiar relations to the throne of God. I believe there will be a communication between it and the Almighty God, or the Almighty, more real than the latter, which Jacob saw in his wonderful dream. Angels of love and mercy shall descend to bear the blessings of God into the opened lap, the outstretched arms and the loving bosom of the devout and trusting household. See, there shall be guardian angels round about it to defend it from danger, to guide it into the path of duty, to dissipate its fears and to animate its hopes. This is not a mere poetic picture. It is a reality. Even as the psalmist declares, quote, the angels of the Lord encampeth around about them that fear him and delivereth them. Moreover, one by one, the father or the mother, the son or the daughter shall ascend, led by the guardian angels, up to the mansions of love and life everlasting. If the Almighty Father has favorites, such families are his favorites. If there be one spot on earth more flowery, more fragrant, more beautiful than another, upon which the eyes of the Creator delight to gaze, it is upon such a spot. If there be one family with far more capacity for receiving good and more ability for producing good than any other, it is that devout and godlike family. Okay. I close this chapter by saying, when these four conditions are fulfilled, the child or the children trained under them cannot fail, in many instances, to develop an interesting character, in almost all cases a good character, in some cases a grand character with inherent and acquired abilities to work effectually for the well-being of mankind. What gave Abraham his power with God and his power over man? It was his personal consecration. What made his family and his household greater than those of the surrounding heathen? It was his consecration of that household to the service of the only true God. Who are to be the mighty ones upon this earth, enlightening it by their intelligence, blessing it by their practical wisdom, exalting it by their godly examples? The seed of the righteous. When the divine command was given to the first matrimonial pair, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, the end of the mandate was to produce a holy offspring like unto themselves, for they were then holy. This fact proves that the home was designed to be a consecrated one, in which children should be raised in a pure atmosphere and prepared to develop a personal history in perfect harmony with the will of God, as we find that will express in the divine command. Again, train up a child in the way he should go. Yes, those are the four conditions. The four conditions. Okay? There's more. He wrote more, but I think we got the point, right? We done read 4 chapters tonight. I hope you guys were actually inspired by that. I know I was. That was inspiring, G. That was inspiring. Okay. So, we're going to go here. We're going to go to Big Book. We're going to go to Big Book, and then we're going to go back to the etiquette book, and then we're going to get up out of here. Make sure y'all are subscribing to all of the things here. Make sure you're subscribing to all of the things. Okay? Hotep History on Patreon. Hotep History on Kick, on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Follow and subscribe. Like all of the things. Tap in with me. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Twitter. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Let me see if anybody hit me up on Twitter. Let's see. It's not looking like it. It's not looking like it. But it's all good. All right. This is Booker T. Washington. Character Building. Great book. Great book. Great book. You understand? So let's get into it. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. It's a little bit of a glare on my screen. It's not a glare on y'all's, but it's a glare on my screen. So I want to zoom in a little bit more. Booker T. Washington, Character Building. That's the name of the book. As you can see, it's available online. All of these books are available online and for download. They should be in your phone. Keep your ancestors with you. All right? So the title of this chapter in Character Building is titled, What Would Father and Mother Say? And we're not going to read this whole thing. I promise. We're not going to read this whole thing, but I did want to read a couple to a few pages of it, and then, we up out of here. So, I think there is no more important or more critical time in a person's life than when he or she leaves home for the first time to enter school or to go to work or to go into business. I think that as a general thing, you can judge pretty accurately what a person is going to amount to in life by the way he or she acts during the first year or two after leaving home. Okay. You will find, usually, that if a young man is able during this time to stand up against temptation, is able to practice the lessons that his father and mother have taught him, and instead of falling by the wayside, gains help and inspiration as he goes along from these lessons, he is almost sure to prove himself a valuable citizen. One who not only will be a help to his parents in their old age, but a help to the community in which he lives. You see how all of this shit, as far as the ancestors, the shit that they thought about, if it's not divinity, it's community. That if we're not talking about God, and we're not talking about our personal relationship with God, or we're not talking about ourselves, immediately we are dealing with the community. Do you see what the ancestors were on? Do you see how the ancestors were able to gain what they gained? Because they weren't walking around just thinking about themselves when it came down to the skills that they acquired, when it came down to the beliefs that they held. And it's not like you got to think about every single other person before you think about yourself, but you've already made yourself. You've already developed yourself. You've already gained the skills that you've gained. Now, with those skills, what are you going to do with them? Are you going to harm your people or help them? Are you going to help your people gain or help your people lose? And how would you let somebody lose or help? Yeah, basically make the community lose by taking those skills out of the community and then using those skills for the betterment of some other fucking place or some other fucking people. That's how they would lose. So yeah, when it comes down to, you already know about the 5 groups, right? The professional, the commercial, the industrial, the political, and the intellectual. All of these different types, all of your pursuits, these skills that you've acquired in any one of those 5 types should first and foremost help you, obviously. And then right after that, help your family. And then right after that, help your community. It only makes sense. What the fuck did we have banks for if it was just for self? What the fuck did we have mutual aid societies for if it was just for self? Yeah, you build the self up. for the greater good of everybody else. So you good. Now there's a greater good, nigga. Let's get to that. So, there is no better way to test an act than to ask yourself the question, what would my father or my mother think of this? What? I fucked up. Would they? Oh, yeah, would they? Okay, would they? Would they approve, or should I be ashamed to let them know that I have done this thing? If you will ask yourself these questions day by day, I think you will find that you will get a great deal of assistance from them in the shaping of your lives while you are here at school, because he's talking to Tuskegee students. And so, again, this is why it's so interesting to me, okay? This is why it's so interesting to me, because what he's saying is exactly what I be doing when it comes to his books. Because, this book is written, 100 years ago, whenever he wrote this book. So it's like, yo, I be on that. What would the ancestors do? I told y'all, whatever the ancestors fuck with, I fuck with. Whatever the ancestors don't fuck with, I don't fuck with it. Their proof is in the pudding. Their accomplishments is set in stone. The country that I live in is living proof of the choices that they made. So what would the ancestors do? Would the ancestors fuck with this? Would the ancestors go with this? Would the ancestors subscribe to that? That's what it is. I'm 35 in the 21st century, G. I'm 35 years old, 2-3 centuries removed from these people. And I'm over here like, nah, what would they do? They didn't have iPhones, iPads. They didn't have fast food. They didn't have a fucking McDonald's, B. They didn't have a beeper. They didn't have a payphone. Well, some of them had payphones. I ain't gonna go that crazy. But, yeah, son, and they were able to bring us to this point based upon the ethos. Based upon the shit that they were doing in the 17 and 1800s, going into the 20th century. So now, you may have some people who asking this question is not even going to really make a fucking difference because their parents is on some bullshit. But, we dealing with late 19th century, early 20th century parents. And so degeneracy is not widespread. It exists, obviously, because you just heard what Reverend Payne was saying. But not to the point to where it's like our degeneracy is like literally a moneymaker for us and shit like that. Like, that's not a thing yet. People are not even people are not incentivized to be degenerate and immoral and all of that shit yet. That comes later. So, I want you to put that question to yourself with regard to deportment, because, excuse me, like I said, it's a glare here, because that is a thing on which we must lay emphasis. We can fill our heads with knowledge and we can train your hands to work with skill, but unless all this training of head and hand is based upon high upright character, upon a true heart, it will amount to nothing. You will be no better off than the most ignorant. See, this is what I'm saying. You see how Booker T. Washington is completely corroborating what Reverend Payne was saying in a non-religious way? That your morals, values, your beliefs, your character, who you are. Remember what we talked about in the intro? Who you are versus what you are. What you are is a carpenter, nigga. What you are is a welder. You do HVAC. You're a doctor. You're a lawyer and shit. But who are you? Who are you? What's your character like? What's your moral compass like? What do you truly believe about the world? That's going to be who you are. You can strip away titles, strip away wealth, strip away all of that shit. You don't change who you are based upon external shit. Your skills and the money you've acquired, all of that shit, that's what you are. That's dope. Congratulations. But who the fuck are you? When shit hit the fan, what Kendrick say when shit hit the fan, is you still a fan? I would say if shit hit the fan, is you still a man? If shit hits the fan, is you still a man? Is you still gonna stand up, or you gonna down on your fucking knees? Let me know. There's weak motherfuckers out there that die on their knees all the time, every day. Wait a second. Yep, somebody just died on their knees. Just now. Somebody just died like a fucking coward. So, fuck what you are. That's external shit. Who are you? That's internal. That's my little fan right here. That's what that is. All right, let's read a couple more pages and we getting out of here in a couple minutes, y'all. Now, one of the ways in which young people are likely to go astray, especially when they first go away from home to school, is in yielding to a temptation to spend their time with persons who have mean and low dispositions, persons whom you would be ashamed to have your parents know that you kept company with. Avoid that. Booker T was very plain with it. Avoid that. Don't do that. Dub that. Fuck all of that. Stay away. Stay away. Man. So let's finish the page and I'll get to the chat. Be sure that the young men and women with whom you associate are persons who are able to raise you up, persons who will help to make you stronger in every way. I do not need to tell you, I am sure of the consequences of association with persons who have a bad influence upon you, or the results of the results of a disregard of it, admonitions for good. A student who persistently keeps bad company, who breaks rules, who is constantly disobedient, who is repeatedly behind at roll call, who time after time has to be called up by the officer of the day, or watched in the dining room or on the parade ground, is the student who in a few years is going to bring sorrow to the hearts of his parents. There is no getting away from that. I'm trying to tell you, son, the ancestors is shooting you straight. If you chill with bums, you're going to be a bum. We done heard that I don't know how many times in our lives. You are an amalgamation of the fucking 5 people that you spend the most time with. So you sit around with a bunch of 5 lazy niggas, you're going to be the 6th lazy nigga. You surround yourself with a bunch of, 5 ambitious, righteous men, guess what you going to be? And if you're not going to be that, they going to kick you out the fucking group. You're going to be the bad apple and you're not about to spoil the bunch. We all doing what the fuck we supposed to be doing over here. We befriended you. You not getting on code with us, so you got to get the fuck on. That's just simply how that goes. Period. Only today, the mother of one of the students came here with a message from another mother whose son had been sent here. She told me how this anxious mother had told her to impress upon her son the necessity of obeying every rule here, and how she wanted him to put in every moment in hard study and honest work. She wanted this woman to impress upon the boy how hard his mother was struggling every day so that she could keep him here and at the same time provide for the younger children of his family at home. So it's like, yo, son, going to Tuskegee ain't cheap, nigga. So I need you to understand that. And I need you to understand that a lot is riding on your education, bro. You got little brothers and sisters. I need you to focus when you get to Tuskegee. I do not need you to fuck around when you get up there. Do not think because you're going away from home for the first time that you get the fuck off. No, I need you to go up there to work hard and come back with some fucking bacon. I need you to come back with something that can help the household. You seen what happened with Francis' brother. He went to go work. He didn't even go get an education. He went to go work and paid his mama's rent for the next 20 years until she died. She's struggling to send you to Tuskegee, nigga. Do right by your moms. Period. Now, when the message was delivered, where was that boy? Was he doing as his mother was so earnestly praying him to do? No. See, look at this. Look at this bum. No. He had already disgraced himself and has been sent away from the institution. Nigga got kicked out. Nigga got kicked out of the fucking school. By the time the letter reached the school, this nigga already was kicked out. That's crazy. She scraped and saved to send your black ass to Tuskegee, and this is what the fuck you do with your opportunity? So it was like, Mrs. Johnson writes him a letter. My son Henry Johnson. He's a freshman, at your school. And I'm just letting you know that I really need y'all to like really, tap in with him and keep him close and let him know. Cause I think she was talking to another mother or whatnot of another boy. And just saying like, yo, I understand this is a great opportunity for him. And I want him to succeed. Man, Henry Johnson. Hey, yo, we got a Henry Johnson. Henry Johnson? Yeah, why? What's going on? Yeah, his mother just sent me a letter. What'd she say? She just wanted me to, make sure that he's doing good and he knows that, they rooting for him and he needs to lock in and do what the fuck he needs to do. Oh, nah, we expelled Henry. You what? Yeah, we expelled him today. Actually, he no longer comes here. He no longer goes to the school. Imagine those events happening in that same day. I know Booker T. Washington was like, get the fuck out of here. We expelled him? Yeah, we expelled him. Imagine having to write that letter back. Let's see. How much sorrow will he bring to his poor mother's heart when she knows? No wonder he was trying to conceal his misconduct and disgrace from her. Let me entreat you. Then, if you are inclined to fritter away, let me entreat you. Then, if you are inclined to fritter away the best hours of your lives, think how the news of your misconduct will act upon the hearts of your parents, those fathers and mothers whose every thought is of you. This all, I'm telling y'all, son. Y'all can't tell me shit about the ancestors. I'm telling y'all better leave me the fuck alone about the ancestors. I'm telling y'all. Oh, shit. The Twitter joint ended. Hold on. I didn't even know. So the last 7 minutes wasn't even on Twitter. All right. That's fine. It's all good, y'all. It's all good. It's time to end it anyway. It's time to end it. Listen, y'all. I think this was a good one. I think this was a good one. Thank you guys, man. Thank you guys. I ain't gonna lie. I think the chat was active tonight. For sure. The chat was active tonight. But I do think that we were all in learning mode more than a lot of other times. Because sometimes it's like super engaging and stuff like that. But I ain't gonna say and act like me reading the words of a reverend in the way that I didn't evoke some of that preacher stuff. I grew up in the church and shit. You know what I'm saying? So that just naturally it gets exuded and exhibited and stuff like that. But let's get to the chat. I did not know I was gonna go over 3 hours. I did schedule the live on Twitter from 8 to 3, thinking I was gonna be done by 11. But I'm telling y'all, I be coming in this joint with so many materials and be afraid that I'm not gonna be able to. Be afraid that I'm not gonna have enough material, and then the next thing I know it's 11 p.m. So let's go. CWJ says this is amazing history. We went from this to social justice Christianity. Man, that's so right. I think that we may have to revisit this. I think we need to remake like a lot of this stuff. A lot of my episodes be deserving a part 2 for real. The true crime one does. You feel me? So yeah, that's another thing I'm going to do. Sammy, I'm glad you asked. Sammy says spiritual grounding, education, and community. But he also asks, what was the name of the previous book where we learned about praying for children individually? I got you. I'm gonna let y'all know now. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm going to be I'm going to be going over the titles at the end of the stream so y'all can tap in with them and stuff like that. So that was the book that you're talking about. A Treatise on Domestic Education by Reverend Daniel A. Payne. This is a gem of a book and a relatively short read too. I got it on my phone. Let me show y'all. Let me brag a little bit. I got it on my phone. You feel me? I got it on my jack. You know what I'm saying? I already got it. You know what I'm saying? My library lit in my phone. I keep the ancestors handy. But anyway, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this was another episode of Hotep History Live. I've been your host, President Hotep Dubes. Thank you to each and every last one of y'all. I'm going to do a double check on the Kick Chat because sometimes it gets a little fritzy. I know I'll be streaming from multiple places at once. So, let's see here. I know I'll be streaming from multiple places at once and stuff like that. So, sometimes it may be a little bit hard to follow. Why is the kick on this damn window? Anyway, give me a second. Let me find it. I know another thing that I gotta get used to on YouTube, they don't allow the music, and now that my page is monetized, I gotta be mindful of that and all of that. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. Just off of the show, if I can just like erase the song, which I appreciate the technology when it comes to that. So if you guys want to get the uncut, unedited versions of the streams, make sure that you're subscribing on Kick and you're subscribing on Patreon, because that's where we get to play all of the music and do all that dope stuff. Because when you start playing like even clips that I play sometimes, they'll have like music in the background of those clips, and then YouTube will grab that and be like, I'm on a copyright strike. And it's like, God damn, bro, it was an instrumental inside of a clip that I was playing inside of the stream. It's like, nah, we heard that. Our robots detected copywritten or copyrighted materials. Can't do that. All right, my brother Cannon came through tonight. That's what I'm talking about. All right, it is muted yet? There we go. My brother Cannon came through. What up, bro? Who we had in the chat over here? Anime Maga fan, my boy. Thank you for coming through. So yeah, that'll do it for this episode 38, Historical Black American Family Values. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I definitely enjoyed myself. I hope you guys learned something of value. Again, make sure you're subscribing to all of the things. Patreon.com/Hotep History. Patreon.com/Hotep History. Kick.com/Hotep History. YouTube.com/@Hotep History. It'll take you right there. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're liking. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're letting your peoples know that we exist over here. You dig? And as always, ladies and gentlemen, you can't have the future without the present. And you cannot have the present without the past. And we don't study history to live in the past, but to order our steps in the present so we can positively what? Positively affect our future. Thank you guys so much for another epic episode. I will see you guys tomorrow at 12 p.m. for the Hotep History Podcast with my brother Hotep Mac. Be there or be fucking square. Okay? Be there or be fucking square. We're going to be talking a whole bunch of fire shit. So don't miss it. Do not miss it. Beat me there. Don't meet me there. Okay? 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern, Saturdays. The Hotep History Podcast. So, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, Hotep and Bill.